Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back with you on this beautiful Wednesday night, slash afternoon, slash evening, slash morning, depending on what part of the world you could be joining us from. I was here holding my breath, hoping against hope that today's broadcast works out, because last night was quite frustrating. But it is what it is. Sometimes, like the adage goes, bad things happen to good people. I do not know what's happening. I cannot tell you with exactness, but lots of things have not gone our way in the last couple of days, coming on to a week. Oftentimes, I've sort of labored with the things that naturally came easy, in the sense of setting ourselves up for the broadcast, and yet now it's no longer the case. It's no longer the case. For example, editing our headlines, having a few functionalities updated feels like a whole tall order, and yet ordinarily it was something very, very simple. It was something very, very simple. I do not know what's changed. I do not know whether it's YouTube's update. I do not know whether it's a me problem. I just can't really tell you exactly what the case is. But hopefully we can find a way to soldier on, regardless of the situation. We have already entered match day 3 of the over the World Cup with Canada 2-0 behind against Switzerland. Ruben Vargas as very in the first minute of the second half, as well as Jonathan Manzambi. Those are the two players that have scored to make it. Johan Manzambi, not Jonathan. Johan Manzambi are the two players that have scored to give Switzerland a 2-0 lead into the second half. Manzambi did provide the assist for Ruben Vargas's, earlier goal that broke the deadlock in this particular tie, while Bril Embolo did provide the assist for the second goal. That game is ongoing as we speak. It is in the 61st minute as we speak. But it is not the only game that is being played, because on the other hand, we do have a game between Bosnia and Herzegovina up against Qatar. That game is also ongoing, with Bosnia leading up by 2-1. Hassan Al Haidos did score to pull one back for the Qataris. That was in the 42nd minute, after Karim Albegovic did score to give Bosnia the lead, while Sultan Albrecht did score in the back of his own net to make it 2-0. That was in the 34th minute. So the two goals for Bosnia came in quick succession. Tonight, we'll be speaking about the World Cup. Obviously, there are some games that are coming up at 1 a.m. There's that to talk about, but more importantly, there's also transfers are raging on. Chelsea are really busy have been busy in the last 48 hours and continue to be busy. So we're going to be, also discussing that in a bit, and we see where the journey leads. I'm trying to get myself a feed for the Bosnia game, since I cannot have a split screen for the game between Switzerland and the Canadians here. But it's so far been a good second half performance thus far from the chocolate makers, as well as some of the, Switzerland is largely known for chocolate. It's known for things like precious jewelry, like, fancy watches and etc. I think they are the makers of the Rolex. But however, when you say Rolex, for Ugandan, that may mean something entirely different, or very different, so to speak. So you must be cognizant or wary of how you use that and when you use it. So, but also, I wish to send out a sincere vote of thanks for all of you that were part of the morning broadcast. Thank you so much for making it worthwhile. Thank you for chipping in. Algorithm, I did see your comment. in the community section in regards to our submission about the hydration breaks, also termed as the commercial breaks, as things go on. But I hope all is well. With that said, I also wish to send out my special greetings to people like Nando, Global Sports. Thank you so much. Viola, Becky, Stephen Barra, Mwami Isaac, Alex Alnitre, Gladiator, Mitchell Wainscourt, Katende Mile, Summer Banks, and every single one of you. Reluctant Gamer, Epic Handle name. Those are our members on the channel here. So thank you guys so much for choosing to be part of the Football Tribe UG channel. It's always a pleasure to have you around, to have your company, and your continued love and support does not go unnoticed. So basically, that's what is happening. You'll allow me have a few things worked on or put in place to ensure that we proceed smoothly in this broadcast. But yeah, we'll be talking about Chelsea's deals and also continuing with the watch along. Yesterday or this morning, we were giving Cristiano Ronaldo his flowers for the incredible leadership, for the incredible performance that he had in Portugal's 5-0 victory against Bosnia and Herzegovina. Players like Joao Felix had a brilliant game. Bruno Fernandes, good game. Joao Cancelo and Nuno Mendes, good game. Renato Viega was really, really good in that game. So lots of things went according to plan, as per Roberto Martinez. And it reminded me of the conversations that we had in the wake of their goal, of their 1-1 draw against DRC Congo. And among all the things that we pointed out that they needed to sort of correct, they ended up correcting, and they paid off the desirable fruits. So it's always sort of liberating to when you reflect back on some of the things that you've said, and it turns out that you are right in submitting the way you may have submitted. I can see we have a comment from John Snack, saying hello, hi John Snack, good to have you on the broadcast. Why are you joining us from, John Snack? And how is your evening or afternoon if it's not a morning already? So yeah, it's a good. Where are you joining us from? Kindly let us know. And are you enjoying the FIFA World Cup, or you're not a football fan? But I can see Jesh Match, the former Leeds head coach here, is looking on, watching his Canadian side in a little bit of a frustration, given that things are not going according to plan as he would have hoped for. GFT, hi, how are you doing? Good to have you on the broadcast. You say hello, big man. Always a pleasure to have you return, GFT. People like Reluctant Gamer, Real Dandy, Ash, Pedri Bola, Meus Pedri, Danny, aka Peter Parker, Pressing Kosi, and all of you guys out there who, spare the time to come and check us on this channel. Your love and support does not go unnoticed. So thank you so much for always choosing the Football Tribe UG channel. I know there's lots of streamers out there who you can join and have a conversation still about football, but the fact that you choose to be part of us here is really, really brilliant. You say you join us from America. That's John Snack. Okay. What part of America? New York, Alaska. We've never had anybody join us from the USA from Alaska. California, Nebraska, Georgia, Atlanta, Washington, which part? Funny, Indiana, North Carolina, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Jesus Christ, all those are places. Anyways, thanks to the movies that bring us closer, and the global politics that bring us insights on the American geography to that extent. Okay, when was I in the army? That is Skin Walker. In the army, how would I know? Skin Walker, official, I do not know. You went to the army? Wow. Okay, was it fun? It's complicated. Michigan. Oh, Michigan. What do I know about Michigan? Michigan has a large group, I think, of Somalis. That's where, has a good section of immigrants in the form of Somalis. Then what else do I know about? Have I heard about Michigan? Oh, there's also Lake Michigan. I hope it is Michigan. I'm trying to remember as much as I can. Then yes, what's his name? I'm forgetting the guy's name. The one who ran as Kamala Harris's running mate was from Michigan, the governor from Michigan, right? Yeah, I think that's the case. So Skinwalker says it's complicated, okay, but it's good to have you, all of you guys. For those of you that have just joined, kindly like the broadcast, but also consider subscribing to the channel. In case you're wondering, my name is Robert K. Sakos, and I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda, where it's 28 minutes past the hour of 11 p.m. East African time. Uganda, small landlocked country, nestled somewhere in the corners of East Africa, bordered by Kenya, Tanzania, Congo, South Sudan, as well as Rwanda in the southwest. Plus, those are the countries that with whom we share borders with. And I'm a football fanatic, in case you're wondering. John Snack, are you enjoying the World Cup? Have you had the chance to go to any of these games live, or are you enjoying it from home? You say you're so smart, sir. You really make my day. Thank you so much, John Snack. There's something I'm forgetting that I learned about Michigan. It's sort of eluding me, and it's something to do with the economics of the state. I'm forgetting. There's an activity that sort of is predominant out there. You say you just watched it, okay? Are you enjoying it? Oh, there's a foul in the area here. Meanwhile, it was Ismail Kone, the Canadian, who had the leg break in the last game against Qatar. So obviously he's out of action for this one. I thought, in my head, I was thinking, it should be one of the motivations that they bring into this game coming into today's fixture. But unfortunately, that motivation, that anger and drive has not been enough to fend off Switzerland. They've managed to do it for the opening half, but in the second half, they've sort of crumbled away quite quickly. And yeah, Switzerland, with all the experience of, being at the respective stages of this competition and other elite competitions that like the Euros, clearly have, ahead of this one. You say I watched yesterday Portugal. Wow, yeah, that was a good game. That was a good game to watch. England, Ghana did not live to the bidding, at least not per my expectations. Yes, I understand England bound to play in some bit of conservative way. I do not expect them to score a plethora of goals, possibly like they did in their opening game against Croatia, but it does not take away the fact that they did not live to the bidding yesterday. And then I had the opportunity to watch the first half of that game between Croatia yesterday. And again, yes, they won, but against Panama, I thought they would achieve more in that game than they did. So then for DRC Congo, they were up against Colombia. Colombia is a really, really good side, by the way. Beyond the players for whom many you may not know, they really, really have some really, really good talent. The likes of Luis Diaz, Luis Suarez, Daniel Munoz from Crystal Palace, James Rodriguez. I think he plays. Does he play for Colorado Rapids over in the Major League Soccer? I'm not fine. And you, let me hope I'm reading your comment right, Viola. Why are you not fine, Viola? What's happening? Last I checked, you had been fine. What's not happening? But good evening, and it's good to have you on the broadcast. Skinwalker says, when I put my pencil in the sharpener and sharpened it, my pencil disappeared. Maybe what you did was the equivalent of getting a 100-liter drum to try and fetch a gallon of water in it. So practically that gallon disappeared within the walls of the 100-liter drum. So possibly you put your pencil in an industrial sharpener as opposed to a small sharpener. But yes, Viola, how are you doing? Why are you not fine? What's not happening? If you're not at liberty to discuss on this forum, it's also fine. You can let me know in the comment section that you're not at liberty to disclose on the forum. Oh, you're saying you have a headache. Sorry about that. I hope it's not the cumulative effect of tiredness or stress or fatigue. Sometimes it can be that, especially for people like you that work really, really hard and for long hours. So it could be that. But if it's not that, I hope within your tight schedule you find a moment's rest. Otherwise, health is wealth. That's all I can say. Anyways, we are back from the hydration break and the games are resuming. I'm still failing to find a source for that game between Bosnia and oh yes, Bosnia and Qatar. But let me see if I can be successful in my next attempt, because my first primary source that I attempted landed me to a game that I'm already watching. That was Switzerland against Canada, and yet that was not the intention. But the scoreline remains 2-1 in favor of the Bosnians, or of Bosnia, if that's what they are called anyway. They do have a player like Edin Dzeko, who is possibly unknown to many football fans, especially those that have had the chance to watch the Premier League or the Italian Serie A, where he's played at teams like Inter Milan. Oh, it's a goal. Yes, the Canadians have pulled one back. Second half substitute just got himself on the score sheet. No sooner had he come on than he put the ball in the back of the net with his first attempt. So it's 2-1 here. Okay. I think I've managed to get a feed for the game between Bosnia and Qatar, but it is still 2-1. Oh, what a beautiful control of that ball. Just a beautiful assist. Forget the finish. It's the assist that makes all the difference. It's the assist that makes all the difference. How he controls that ball, brings it down, but Promise David is the goal scorer for the Canadians, and now they'll go pushing for that equalizer, and they have a corner kick. The Canadian Prime Minister is in presence watching. Meanwhile, ex-Canadian Prime Minister in Justin Trudeau, is it? Yes, was the other time criticized for missing a game of the Canadians and choosing to go to the US to watch a different game. So some people questioned his patriotism. But Nathan Saliba is the one that has provided that excellent assist. I mean, it was just sublime. Beautiful to watch. There. Nathan Dylan Saliba, the way he controlled that ball and guided it in the path of David was simply amazing to watch. If you've not watched the goal in real time, you may need to enlarge yourself. Otherwise, Promise David just applied the necessary finish, and it gives just matches aside a reason to believe that the tie is far from over. We are into the 77th minute thus far, whereas on the other side, the game between Bosnia and Qatar is in the 75th minute. Jonathan David has not had that many chances thus far in the second half to put a mark on his name on this game. Oh, wow. That's a good run in the box. Just couldn't keep his header on target. But the Canadians had conjured up something. The Canadians had conjured up something. Skinwalker says, oh, I read that one already. Thought it was a new comment. My page refreshed for a bit. By the way, I think Brill Emblo and Johan Manzambi are having so far a successful World Cup. Come on. Jonathan David should have done better in that moment, but you didn't, obviously. So for those of you that were wondering, yesterday we were unable to do the broadcast for due to reasons beyond my own control. It seemed to be a technical fault that we are experiencing, whose source up to now still has my head scratched, trying to imagine or sort of figure out what caused it, but we could not go live. And I do not know whether it was a YouTube thing or a me thing, but every little thing that I was trying was not working out. Not one bit. That should be a corner kick for the Swiss. Oh, we're heading into the final minutes of this game. Switzerland 2, Canada 1. Switzerland on course to finish at the summit of Group B. As we speak, if the games end the way they are, Switzerland will finish at the summit of the group with 7 points. Canada will finish second with 4 points. And then Bosnia will also finish third with 4 points, but a poor negative goal difference of -2. Canada have a +5 because they beat Qatar by 6-0. Oh, Begovic testing the Canadian goalkeeper, but to little success, putting quite the save. Oof. Oh, and it's a goal. It's 3-1 for the Bosnians. It's a goal. Epic handle name Good evening. Good to have you on the broadcast. How are you? For me, it's a good morning. Perhaps you can even sorry, it's a good evening. You can even call it a good night because it's 43 minutes past the hour of 11 p.m. I don't know about you, but it's a good evening. But how are you? Ki, hi to you too as well. As you are joining us, Bosnia were barring the ball into the back of the net to make it 3-1 against the Qataris. Oh, ah, goalkeeper will be disappointed that he could not keep that one out. Ah, goes through his teammates' legs and therefore cannot does not get a good side of it as it approaches him. So Bosnia 3, Qatar 1. I'm doing fine. Waiting for Scotland. It's at 12:43 a.m. here in Dubai. Oh, okay. For us, it's going to be 1 a.m. 1 a.m. So it looks like Dubai and Uganda are not many hours apart. The, the time is in proximity because for us, those games kick off at 1 a.m. So Brazil Scotland is a game I'm really, really equally looking forward to watching. Um, I'm looking forward to watching that game. Then the other game is going to be between Morocco and Haiti at 1 a.m. Unfortunately, the other two fixtures, that's South Africa against South Korea, as well as Czech Republic against Morocco. Those ones I may not be able to watch. KI says Scotland for the win. Come on. Brazil for the win. I'm Team Brazil. I'm Team Brazil. Only that today I refrained myself from putting on the Brazil kit. We're into 4 minutes. We are 4 minutes away from the 90th minute mark in the game between Switzerland and Qatar. My question will be, what scoreline do you expect, KI, as per the Brazil game? Oh, Canada are playing with still more belief, just for the laugh. I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. But in football, anything can happen. Oftentimes, our wishes are far from our realities when it comes to the game of football. Um, okay, Epic says, yeah, I agree. Come on, Scotland. I'm doing my master's. Oh, you're saying I'm doing my master's at Edinburgh University, so I'm supporting them. No. First of all, good luck on your master's program at the University of Edinburgh. And nonetheless, me as a Brazil fan, I'll be hoping for a win. I'll be hoping for a win. It's going to be a difficult game. I won't be surprised if it ends in a draw for Team Brazil. Nor would I be surprised if it ended in defeat. But I do not expect a defeat in our wake. I expect a victory for Team Brazil, maybe by 2-1. It may not look pretty or fancy, but I do sort of give us a chance. Neymar Santos Jr. is expected to be in the matchday squad, having missed the opening two fixtures of the group stages or the World Cup. In the one all draw against Morocco, and then in the 3-0 victory against Haiti. So there's a reason for us to be positive about that. There's a reason for us to be positive about. Unfortunately, Qatar, whoever their pilot is, should be firing up the engines of the Etihad Airways to be ready to take them home. You say Epic says OMG Neymar will play. That's the expectation. Oh, Viola is predicting a 3-1 victory. Is that for Brazil or for Scotland? I'd want to believe it's for Brazil. Okay, let's do this. Let's put up the poll question in who you think will win that game. Simple poll question. Scotland versus Brazil. You know, who will win? Say Brazil, Scotland, or a draw. I mean, after all, it's possible. You know, but I went for Brazil to sort of win that game. I went for Brazil to win that game. I think in a couple of minutes we'll know what the starting 11s look like for either team. If you don't mind, can you tell us the starting lineup for Brazil and Scotland? Has yet to access it, but let me cross check. But the confirmed lineups usually they come out 1 hour before kickoff, and the kickoff is at 1 a.m. and it's 49 minutes past 11 p.m. So that means we have to wait at least 12 or 15 more minutes for us to receive the news to the effect of the starting 11. Unless we can get a scoop. Oh, okay. I think we have that information on my other source. Here's how they've set up. Alson Ramses Becker is in goal for Brazil. Douglas Santos, Gabriel Magalhaes, Marquinhos, and Danilo form the back four. Bruno Guimaraes, Casemiro, and Lucas Paqueta form the midfield trio, while Vinicius Junior, Ryan, and Matheus Cunha form the front three for Brazil. Therefore, that means that he's gone for a false nine once again. In Matheus Cunha, he scored a brace against Haiti. Then on the side of Scotland, they have Angus Gunn. They do have Patterson. They have McKenna. They have Henry and Robertson. Remember, Kieran Tierney picked up an injury. Still sticking with the slow midfield. Well, come on. Some beautiful defending from the streets. Manela Kanji with the timely clearance. Otherwise, the Canadians had come quite on a quick transition. Okay. You're sticking with that sort of slow midfield. Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes, and Lucas Paqueta. Okay. Then in midfield, the Scottish have Ben Dock, Ben Gannon Dock. They have McLaren. They have a Lewis Ferguson. They have John McGinn from obviously Aston Villa. They have a Scott McTominay, and then they have a Shankland, Lawrence Shankland is the one leading the lines for the Scots. So it's a 4-1-1 sort of system for the Scottish, while it does appear to be a 4-3-3 system for the Brazilians. Jesus Christ. What's with the yawning? Anyway, it's been a bit of a long day. One that I hope I can carry through given the upcoming games. Because we have a whole segment about transfers that we need to go through at the climax or upon the climax of these two games. We are left with about 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to play in the game between Switzerland and Canada, if at the time is anything to go by. You say it's totally understandable. Well, yeah, you'd think so. Then for The Canadians have really, really stepped up to try and create some chances, but the Swiss defense has been that good. So then the game between Bosnia and Herzegovina is into the second minute of stoppage time. 6 minutes were added. Canadians have a long throw in. Oh, straight to the goalkeeper. Promise David with a flicked header could not trouble the Swiss goalkeeper. Kobel, is it Kobel? Something like that. Something like that. So, who do you think will win the game between Scotland and Brazil? You can answer through the poll question by voting a win for Brazil, a win for Scotland, or a draw. That's just a big, big wasted opportunity. If I'm not mistaken, the final groups are being decided. Maybe you can predict some matchups for the round of 32. Predicting the matchups for the round of 32. Switzerland goalkeeper nearly fumbled that one. I mean, the Canadians have really put up some effort in trying to push for it. Just Match will be really impressed with how they've tried to go for it, especially after going 2-0 down in the second half. But you don't always get it to go your way. Oh, that was a bit of a loose ball. It was only natural for the striker to come through. And the referee has finished the game or ended the game. Switzerland 2-1 Canada. So they advance to the round of 32 while leading the group with 7 points after 2 wins and 1 draw. The draw coming in the opening game against Qatar, managing to beat up against Bosnia, Herzegovina, and now they've beaten up against Canada by 2-1. Let me see if I can switch to the other game. Oh, come on. Really? Yes. Here it is. We're into the fourth. We're left with 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes now for the conclusion of the game between Bosnia and Qatar. Qatar need at least 3 goals in the remaining 2 minutes if they are to take all 3 points, which would then widen their chances of staying within. Okay. Now, matchups for the round of 32. How old is Marco? Marco Palestra should be 21. I think he's about 21. He's about 21. Last I checked. In case you're asking about Marco Palestra, should be 21. Or Palestra, as some people pronounce it. Should be about 21 years of age. There. Yes. Then last season, of course, he was on loan to Cagliari, where he scored only 1 goal and provided 4 assists, but he was on loan from Atlanta. That's why some people have been sort of confused. He was playing at Cagliari, but Chelsea are buying him from Atlanta. Somebody is asking me a question about Neymar Santos Jr. Let me get to all those questions in a bit. Do you think Endrick will have a good tournament? He's really exciting. That will depend on how much game time is accommodated, because you can only be good if you're on the pitch. No matter how talented you are, if you're not hitting the turf, then we cannot see how good you are. Spaghetti Dude is saying Neymar playing or no? He's not in the starting 11. That's what I can tell you. He's not in the starting 11, but he's on the bench. He's on the bench. So he's among the players that have been included on the bench. Shot 10, Neymar Santos Jr. Meanwhile, the game between Bosnia and Qatar has just concluded in favor of Shid Kolasnac's side. They are winning by 3-1. That means that within that group, they finished second behind Canada, and therefore they will be advancing to the round of 32 as one of the best third-place finishers with that tally of 4 points. It's similar to the situation that is in group, the second last group that has England and Croatia, where Ghana find themselves following that goalless draw against England yesterday. You say everyone like and subscribe. Thank you so much, Epic Gamer. Okay, sorry, Epic handle name. I don't know why I called you Epic Gamer there for a second. But so in terms of the third place rankings, it's Bosnia, Sweden, Scotland, Croatia, Algeria, Paraguay, Cape Verde, and Belgium that are so far leading the way. But I think Ghana has been forgotten here because, no, let me see. Ghana should be second in their group as we speak. Ghana are second in their group. That's why we have Croatia here. So, but it is still there for the taking. Going into the final match day for majority of these teams. Okay. Spaghetti Dude says, what are the chances Mbappe actually breaks Messi's record this World Cup itself, or do you think Messi will retain his record this World Cup at least? I mean, those chances are high because, for example, in the last edition of the World Cup, that was the 2022 edition, Kylian Mbappe was the top scorer with 8 goals. I think the World Cup that had a top scorer with the highest number of goals was in 1958 when Just Fontaine scored 13 goals at the World Cup of 1958. That was he was part of the French side, so he scored all those goals. In terms of the others, then the other who scored also a high number of goals in just a single World Cup campaign was a man from Hungary. He was called Sander Kosis, something like that. Sander Kosis was sort of the name. He scored 11 goals in the 1954 World Cup. So he was from Hungary. Sander Kosis or Sando Kosis, depending on how it is pronounced. Okay, then I think Mbappe is the best World Cup player of all time. Best World Cup player of all time could be subjective. I do not know the particulars of every World Cup player that is ever played at the World Cup since its inception in 1930. With the first edition, I think we played and won in Uruguay. And then obviously in between there, we had some missed editions, but that notwithstanding, there's been quite a number of great players over the years. When you go back to that France of 1998, that had Didier Deschamps, that had the likes of Marcel Desailly, what's the Frank? He was called Frank what? Frank Libov, something like that. Was a good team. So in terms of the best World Cup player of all time, I would want to think that Kylian Mbappe is in that conversation, in that conversation. Okay. You say, okay, Puskas, the Puskas Award For best goal of the tournament so far, bit of a difficult one. To be honest, to be fair to myself, I do not have the perfect photographic memory of all the goals that we've watched this far, in as far as the World Cup is been concerned. But I'm thinking one of those strikes by Lionel Messi, either the first or third goal against Algeria, then Kylian Mbappe's goal against Senegal, but even the one against Iraq recently was good. So we've had some really brilliant strikes. We had the goal from Pina, the Cape Verde player, the one from the direct free kick. It looked good. It was from distance. I think that's the goal that I would go with so far. That goal scored by Pina for Cape Verde the other day, like against Uruguay. That sort of free kick that he takes, Kevin Pina in the 21st minute. I think it will be one of those that I would really, really consider. But so for now, for lack of a better recollection of all the goals that have been scored thus far at the World Cup, I'd go with Kevin Pina's strike from the free kick against Uruguay. Okay. Spaghetti Dude says, yes, Mbappe could be the best World Cup player. I mean, he's yet to be eliminated from a World Cup tournament. He has always appeared in the finals. I mean, this is his third edition. He's played two so far, 2018 and 2022. And yeah, indeed, he's made it to the finals in both occasions. So brilliant, really, really. He's been brilliant, you know. But we've also had players that have now, when you talk about that, we have teams that have won it back to back, and I would want to think those teams had repetitive players. That was Italy in 1934 and 38. In 1934, they beat Czech Republic in the final. Then you had Brazil in 1958 and in 1962. In 1962, still they beat Czech Republic. That Czech Republic used to be a very, very strong team. But I understand where you're coming from. To the best of our recollection, in terms of recent memory, or in a couple of years gone by, or editions of the World Cup gone by, he's been quite a standout player thus far. Then Lashkush says, "What's up, bro? What's up to you too?" Gradao Gibbs reunites with us finally. He says, "Let's go Brazil." Lashkush says, "I want Brazil to draw so they can match with Netherlands." Wow. That will be a difficult game. That will be quite a cracker. That will be the sort of game that is in proximity or being the equivalent of a final before a final. Now, I understand and appreciate the fact that both sides do not currently have like that sort of elite talent in a way, but Netherlands, remember, Netherlands were losing finalists in 1974, then in 1978, and in 1978, Argentina beat them in the final. In 2010, it was Spain that beat them in the final. In 1974, who won the World Cup in 1974? Oh, it wasn't Brazil. Was it German? Yes, it was German. It was German that won it in 1974. So 1974, the Dutch were beaten. So that's in terms of pedigree of the competition. Yes, the Dutch have never won it, and I've once or previously described them as the best footballing nation that has never won the World Cup. So it will be quite epic, and that would see the downfall of a giant quite very early on in the competition. Quite very, very early on in the competition. I remember the Netherlands are already topping their group following those two victories. Sorry, following the draw against Japan and the emphatic victory against Sweden. You know, so I understand your suggestion. Okay. Vala says it's German. Yeah, thank you so much. German or Italy, 1974, it was German. Thank you so much, guys. West German, yes, West German, to be a little more specific, because at the time, German was divided between East German and West German. Thank you so much, guys, for your active participation. Okay, did I miss a comment? So, if Brazil draw and Morocco win, that means Morocco finishes above them. I don't know if you factor that in. I don't know if you factor that in per se, but it's something to think about. It's something for us to think about. Okay, let me come to your comments in a bit. Jesus Christ. Oh. Now, Epic handle. You asked me about the matchups for the round of 32. Unfortunately, I may need to scratch my head a bit on that one. Why? Because I know that there is the principle of, let's say, first in Group A versus, let's say, first in Group D, second in Group D, and vice versa, that sort of thing. But then we also have the element of the third best teams, and it's not a given. It's not the sort of scenario of first in Group A takes on first in Group B. Second in Group B. It's not that simple for me. So you'll indulge me on that one for the matchups. But I did not forget your question. I've just been trying to think through it and see where it lands for me at the moment. But okay, let me get to some of your other comments. Okay, Epic was responding to Spaghetti saying exactly, even when he loses, he scores a hat-trick in the final. Crazy player. Yeah, the only 5-time winners, that's a Brazil, Gradao Games reminding us. Fair point, Mbappe is the greatest World Cup player after Pele. Okay, yeah, by the way, in Pele, I think first played in the 1958 World Cup, and he was the youngest player in the tournament, and also the youngest player to win it. Then that was the first time that Brazil was accommodating black players in the team. Traditionally, it had been light-skinned or white players that played for the Brazil national team. So it's sort of a historical year. Then Epic, okay, you were asking Italy? No. Okay. As not wait. Nasali. Jesus Christ. You remember when you I was asking when we were wandering together, who the Dutch lost to in 1974, and you guys were scratching your heads whether it was Italy or German or Viola's initial response to that was that she had not yet been born. Dear Viola, I wasn't born either at the time. We are all here to learn. So I'm here to learn from you as much as you can learn from me. So oftentimes when it comes to historical events, I'm also one of those that needs to sort of either scratch my head or try and, replenish or refresh in my memory or jog it, or have to actually go and read about it to find out. And then sometimes you read about something, then it evaporates from your head over a given period of time. Okay, so Spaghetti says, imagine if CR7 actually scores enough to take the lead as top scorer in the World Cup, or at least the second or so. That would be amazing. I mean, it would be amazing for him as an individual, and by extension, very amazing for him, for his country in Portugal. But, it will also depend on the sort of level of opponents he's up against and how well he maintains himself. Now, Unfortunately he's never found himself in that sort of space, because I think the most successful World Cup for him is when he scored only 4 goals, and it's gonna take a lot more than that to find yourself in that space, because as we speak, only 2 games played, and Lionel Messi has 5 goals, Kylian Mbappe has 4 goals. So you have Johan Manzambi 3 goals. You have which other player has 3 goals at least? There's another player that I'm forgetting. So the guys are banging in the goals. So he needs to really, really work hard for it. And to the criticism of Roberto Martinez, they tried to keep him on in that game against Uzbekistan, hoping that he would get a hat-trick, and eventually he never got it. Something that I thought, the manager should be able to rise above that, because when you look at Cristiano Ronaldo's character in that game, he showed leadership. He never made it about himself. He saw when, for example, especially when it came to the free kicks, he knew that there were better people, better positioned, and better set piece takers than him at the moment, and he offered them the opportunity to do that. That's how they got the second goal, through Nuno Mendes. They almost scored what would have been the third through that free kick that Bruno Fernandes sort of leaped for him forward, and then the goalkeeper saved. So when you look at that sort of leadership that he did exhibit in that game, I do not think, even though he really wanted to score the hat-trick, he would, I sort of think he would have understood if he had been withdrawn after 1 hour, after 70 minutes or something like that. Okay, sure thing. It's a very complex for now. Third matches for groups will end fast. Yeah, they will end fast because we have 2 games kicking off at the same time. So already on match day 1 of the on match day 1 of the round of 3 of the third round games, we've had 2 games played. Now that's been on Wednesday. Now moving into Thursday, because it's already Thursday for my part, because it's a midnight, you're going to have 4 games to be played. 2 games kicking off at 1 a.m. and then you'll have another set of games kicking off at 4 a.m. So that's Scotland against Brazil, Morocco against Haiti. Then the other games should include South Africa against South Korea, then Czech Republic against Mexico. Yes, those are the other games that will kick off at 4 a.m. And that's from Group A. So yeah, the match day 3 games will run up really, really fast. And obviously, as the tournament grows older and older, we're going to come to a point where we'll have days without games, where teams take a rest and, etc. So we'll get to that period as well, especially as we also walk into the month of July. Okay, Epic responding to Lashkush says, what do you mean by that? Okay, I mean 2 or 3 matches will be played in the same hour. Two games are being played in the same hour thus far. Jesus Christ. Let me not say what I was going to say. Otherwise, I may be crucified for it. But okay. I see what you mean. Yes, indeed. Do you think Neymar will play any minutes today? Chances are high he will be given a chance to sort of pop out and play a game of football. Sorry, and play a couple of minutes. Chances are really, really high. Because, I mean, you know, when it gets to the knockout stages, there's a very little room to give players that have not kicked the ball a chance, unless there are injuries that force that sort of thing. Because at the knockout stages, it's all about business. You ought to knock somebody out of the park, or else you get knocked out of the park and then you pack your bags and go home. Okay, Viola says Spurs signed a new player. He came from where? Spurs have signed a couple of players. They started with signing Andy Robertson as a free agent from Liverpool. They signed Marco Senesi from Bournemouth as a free agent. They followed that by signing Van Hecke, Van Hecke, John Paul Van Hecke, the Dutch defender from Brighton and Hove Albion for £52 million. And they are into negotiations with West Ham for over a deal to sign Matheus Fernandes, with Manchester United also interested. So that's also ongoing. They did reach out to Newcastle formally that's at the senior figure levels, directors kind of level, to explore a deal for Sandro Tonali. So they're really, really very active in the market. They are talking to Manchester City over the potential signing of Savinho. That's according to Nico Chavolire, one of those journalists that is equally good with transfers. So a lot is happening at Tottenham Hotspurs. Then Lucas Bagville has requested to leave. He's one of those youngsters that will be fetching a top dollar for Tottenham Hotspurs because he's very unimpressed with the role in which he's been used. Oftentimes he's been used as a 6, yet he prefers to play as an 8. Then his first very limited game time and things like that. So a lot of things are happening at Tottenham Hotspurs. Expect to see lots of movements in terms of incomings and outgoings to the extent of this transfer window. What about our headache at Arsenal left wing? Okay, we'll get to discuss that in a bit as well when it comes to the effect of Arsenal. But I wanted us to start on the Chelsea front because Viola is oftentimes very, very interested in the transfers. No disrespect to you, Epic. Please do not take it in bad faith. But Chelsea did reach an agreement in principle with Atalanta for the signing of Marco Palestra. That's the right back slash right wing back in a deal worth €55 million. Now, Atlanta were the leading contenders to sign the 21-year-old defender, but Chelsea came in last minute with a better offer for the player in terms of wages. It's believed that his wages will be about €6 million per annum, which is quite significant, or almost double what Inter Milan were willing to offer. Then they also offered a little more money because Inter Milan were offering €45 million as guaranteed fees plus €5 million in expected add-ons for the player. So Atlanta chose to go with the deal for Chelsea, but more importantly, the player chose Chelsea over Atlanta. So looks like Italians are starting to once again move to other leagues, particularly to the Premier League, and are starting to be corrected. But it almost felt like it's been a minute until Sandro Tonali comes in at Newcastle. We have a Ricardo Carafiori recently. At some point, of course, we had somebody remind me, is Gianluca Scamacca an Italian? Because he had a stint at West Ham. So anyways, and now that you have yes, he's an Italian. So he had a stint with West Ham when he came through a couple of seasons ago, although it never worked out well for him at West Ham, and he ended up going back to Italy and he joined Atlanta. So he joined West Ham for the 2022-2023 campaign, made only 16 appearances, scored only 3 goals, not good enough, and he went to Atlanta where he has since scored about 22 goals, I think, in 54 appearances. So now you're having Marco Palestra joining. So looks like the Italians are beginning to embrace this sort of football from abroad. Predominantly, they've been homeboys or guys that play their football from home. Okay. Do I have a comment to reflect on? I have somebody's perturbing me with a Jeffrey Epstein comment. Love from Jeffrey Epstein. That's from Tel Aviv Impressed. I will not explain who Jeffrey Epstein is for those of you that are not familiar, because may his soul rest in peace, regardless of what history has written about him. So, still at Chelsea, Chelsea have started talks with Crystal Palace over the potential signing of Maxence Lacroix or who, for us who are English bred in terms of the language orientation, who we used to read as Lacroix or Lacrosse. He's actually Maxence Lacroix. They've started, those talks over the possibility of signing him, but also staying with Chelsea. Chelsea are open to letting go of Trevor Chalobah, and Como are interested. They've started talks with Chelsea over the potential signing of the 26-year-old England centre-back. Chelsea are opening to letting him go. Then, still speaking Chelsea defenders, now multiple sources suggest that Manchester City are interested in signing Malo Gusto from Chelsea, and apparently is valued at about 45 to 50 million pounds for those that may be interested in the French right back. However, I've seen Fabrizio Romano being used, and I say this without any fear of contradiction, not because I have it on good authority, but reading between the lines. First of all, when reporting about Malo Gusto, he said that Chelsea were not interested in selling the player despite signing Palestra, when they also have Richard James at right back. Remember, they also have a Joshua Achepong in there who can play there, although he's a centre back. So I do not want to believe that that is the case, that Chelsea are not interested in parting ways with Malo Gusto. It may not be an outright priority, but I think when a good offer comes for him, they are willing to let him go. Now, it went on to say that apparently they would demand a fee in the excess of 70 million pounds for Malo Gusto. And there I was thinking to myself, no, it's not possible. I mean, Malo Gusto being worth 70 million pounds, they may as well give me 5 million pounds of that. Actually, not 500K would be sufficient. Anyways, he's not worth that, in my opinion. So, but there's that. Maybe one, just to digress a little bit back, Viola. The other player that Tottenham Hotspur have signed is Martin Dubravka. He had a stint, he formerly at Newcastle. He's a goalkeeper. And then last season, he was at Burnley, Martin Dubravka. So he's a goalkeeper that has signed for Tottenham Hotspur. Remember, they have Vitaly... he's called Vitaly what? Kinski. Sorry, not Vitaly. Antonin Kinski, the 22-year-old goalkeeper. Then they also have Guillermo Vicario. Meanwhile, speaking of Vicario, Inter Milan were reported to be interested in signing him because Jan Sommer is leaving Inter Milan. So there's all that. So Chelsea are going to be a very, very busy team. Remember, they've already signed the youngster from Strasbourg. His name eludes me. Valentino Bacco. Then there's an Emmanuel Emega coming in, the striker from Strasbourg. You have a Giovanni Quenda coming in from Sporting CP. So I sort of feel that there's going to be a lot of chopping and changing once again this transfer window for Chelsea, especially for what is deemed to be surplus players, the likes of Axel Disasi. They are willing to listen to offers for Benoit Badiashile. So expect a lot of movement around Chelsea to that extent or in that regard. Otherwise, those are some of the deals that are happening at Chelsea or that we expect to happen. Now, going to Epic's sort of a question about Arsenal's pursuit of a left winger. But before I get to that, allow me read some of your comments. Okay. No, please go ahead. I love Jeff. Now, I don't think Epstein will rest in peace, bro. Guys, indulge me on that one. I wouldn't want to dwell into the conversation about Jeffrey Epstein. In any case, my knowledge about him or of him is quite very limited. Beyond the criminality of the man that he for which he was convicted upon. But so it is what it is. Anyways, to the Arsenal. First of all, Arsenal seem to have lined up or explored multiple targets when it comes to their left wing. For starters, there's this expectation that Gabriel Martinelli will leave. Two, that they are willing to listen to offers for Leandro Trossard. I do not know if that is not one too many changes, because whereas change can be good, too much change may not be as good. I do not know what your views are about that, but there's a possibility or a world where both players live in Leandro Trossard as well as Gabriel Martinelli. But before they even leave, Arsenal have been, linked with the potential with the move for Jeremy Monga, and Arsenal want to sign him early so that he's part of their pre-season, and then he gets assessed whether he's sort of directly part of the first team or they loan him out for the next season. Remember, he's a 16-year-old who is turning 17 very soon. They are pursuing that deal from Leicester City. Then Christos Zolis is at Club Brugge. He's a Greek player, I think about 24 years of age. He's also being monitored, or Arsenal are interested in signing him. He is also a left winger. Then Bradley Barcola, they are interested in Bradley Barcola in signing him. So I will have to wait and see. Although PSG would love to keep the player, however, contract negotiations between the player and PSG have not sort of progressed well thus far. Then, in addition to that, is Morgan Rogers. Now, apparently, Arsenal look at Morgan Rogers as a left winger, and he's their primary target. Now, I'll say this. I do not know what the data tells Arsenal, because for me, the data that I can read from face value or off of the fingertips in quick succession is his performances over the last two campaigns, where he scored 8 goals and provided 10 assists in the 2024-2025 Premier League season. Then he scored 10 goals and provided 6 assists in the last campaign, in as far as the Premier League is concerned. 23 years of age, good age, averages over 30 Premier League appearances per season, so good with injuries. Quite very athletic, as in very fast. Not too. His dribbling skills are sort of sporadic. It's not so routine that he will dribble past players, even though he has the ability. And they are looking at him as their primary target for a left winger. I'm not sold. I'm sorry, I'm not sold. Yes, he has the numbers. He's young, he's English, he's already Premier League well adapted, but I'm not sold. I do not see him being miles of an upgrade. I do not see much how he's different from an Ebeleche Eze. In a way, they are a little bit more similar. So for me, the idea that Arsenal have him as a primary target for a left winger is something that has not set up well with me. But then I'll leave it to the experts who dive into a little more data than that. But you guys can also give me your views about that. Hi, Farouk. Good to have you back. Gladiator. You join us at a moment when I wanted to pose the question. What do you make of Morgan Rogers? For me, he's just another, English athlete who will post the numbers, but in terms of eye test, there's not a lot that is eye-catching about him. Now, one will make the case that how many wingers are there that are capable of dribbling past players and, cutting in the inside and, banging for you that goal or playing that sort of pinpoint fine pass. I do not think he's exceptional. I think he's good, but I do not look at him as exceptional. And yet I feel that Arsenal needs somebody exceptional, because you need somebody that is a really, really significant upgrade on Gabriel Martinelli. Yes, I know Gabriel Martinelli only scored 1 goal last season in the Premier League, but you need a significant upgrade from Gabriel Martinelli, from Leandro Trossard. And to be honest with you, when it comes to quick options, I cannot just give you to say this and this will be the ideal candidate. But Vinicius Junior is one of those players that have been talked about. I know it would cost an arm and a leg if Arsenal were to attempt to sign him, and I do not think they are going to. But when you look at players like Desli Doe, he sort of falls in that realm. Luis Diaz, maybe because he's had a brilliant season with Bayern Munich in terms of his debut campaign. I don't know. For me, on eye test, I look at Rafael Leao as a better player than even Morgan Rogers. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong about that. So when I scan and look around, really, there may not be plenty of options, but I feel that Arsenal can do better than that. First of all, he's quite expensive. He's quite expensive because, trust me, Aston Villa are going to look around players like Elliot Anderson, for whom Nottingham Forest are commanding for fee in the excess of £120 million, and they're already thinking for themselves. We're talking about a team that sold Jack Grealish for £100 million at the height of his career with Aston Villa, and they're going to be demanding fees in the same ballpark. Nothing less than £75 million, but more importantly, it's going to boil down to about £85 million to £100 million. That's the sort of ballpark that you're looking at. And I just do not believe he's worth that. Really, I don't know. Maybe time will come and I eat my words, or I just stand to be corrected, or I need to be proven wrong, that I'm wrong about him, but I just do not sort of find him unique, in a sense. Okay, totally agree. Look at Liverpool last season, too many changes. Okay, but this Monga will surely not start right. Never seen him play. He's been at Leicester City. He's a 16-year-old. I've seen clips of him. He does look good with both feet, but more predominantly, I think with his right. He's no much different, or more. He's no more unique than a Max Doman. He's just a youngster who is a huge prospect, for whom the world seems to think he has a whole, a great career ahead of himself. Let's hope he can live to the billing, because a player of that sort of age at 16, and you're already costing £10 million plus, or that's the sort of fee that has been slapped on your name, you must be really, really good, or as good as advertised sort of thing. He's basically a Ruben Loftus-Cheek. You said I'm not sold as well with Rodgers at left wing. I'd rather keep Trossard. For me, I've said this. Unless Arsenal find themselves in a position where they can possibly sign, let's say, Bradley Barcola and a Morgan Rodgers, they will take them both. But choosing one over the other is not something I'm not too sold about. Now, I've said this before, without a fear of contradiction, by the way. I'll choose Bradley Barcola as a left winger as opposed to Morgan Rodgers. Yes, I understand the downside, that Bradley Barcola would need time to adapt to the Premier League, and yet Morgan Rodgers is already adapt. But I feel that there's more to unlock from a Bradley Barcola than there is in this Morgan Rodgers. That's just my feeling about him. Okay. Epic basically reducing him to a Ruben Loftus-Cheek, formerly at Chelsea and currently at AC Milan. Gladiator or Kolachiwano, what are you doing here? That's from Viola. Raymond Kangumba says, hi, Ayari and Florin Balogun should sign for 50 million euros. Sorry, for 50 million pounds deal for Balogun. Okay, that's just Raymond Kangumba telling us about his wish list, or his updated wish list for some of the players that should be signing for Newcastle. And he's talking about Yassine Ayari, who is at Brighton. Brighton are open to letting him go. That's for the Swiss international, whose father is from Tunisia. And then he talks about Florin Balogun. That one is expected to leave Monaco, and Premier League clubs are interested, as well as he has interest from elsewhere in Europe. He's sort of had a good campaign as far as the World Cup is concerned. I think he's one of those players that have 3 goals at the World Cup so far. Okay, Farouk says they are buying him because of his mobility with various numbers. I mean, for me, there's got to be more to him, to a player, than just that. Yes, the numbers are good, and I've constantly said that a modern day winger is always going to be judged by his numbers in terms of goals and assists. I appreciate that, but I feel the way teams approach games against Arsenal in a bit of a conservative manner, sort of playing mid blocks and low blocks, you need somebody that can really, really move bodies. You really, really need somebody that can move bodies. And especially when you look at Arsenal's right wing is going to start off on a weaker note. Why? Bukayo Saka and his partner, Noni Madueke, after a long season, are already at the World Cup. So you do not expect them to have a flying start to the campaign. But more importantly, Bukayo Saka is injured. He has that injury that he's having to play through. So the sort of pressure that you put on his body is going to be very limited. And I'm always asking myself this question, and we will continue to answer it until that time in August when the season officially resumes. I'm looking forward to see how Arsenal kick off their campaign, how they cope, how they sort of allow themselves to grant those players the much needed rest that they need for them to be able to sustain another full-blown campaign where they are expected to compete on all fronts, not just to be participators in the Carabao Cup, in the FA Cup, in the Premier League title race, as well as the Champions League. They are expected to be in that race. So when you look at the amount of football they've played in the last campaign, and then by extension, as all their senior players going to the World Cup, because look at David Raya, Mikel Merino, Martin Zubimendi, all with the Spanish national team. You look at William Saliba with the French national team. You look at Gabriel Magalhaes, Gabriel Martinelli with the Brazilian national team. You look at Bukayo Saka, Noni Madueke, Declan Rice, the other being Eberechi Eze with England national team. Pierre Hincapié with Ecuador. So, I mean, majority of their players, Leandro Trossard is with Belgium, regardless of who moves or who doesn't, So majority of their key players are at the World Cup already. So that means when the World Cup ends, at whatever point it ends for them, they're going to need their own break or their own summer of rest. And then that means you have limited players in terms of senior players that are training in preparation for the preseason as well as the early start to the season, because remember, their first game is going to come, I think, on the 16th of August when they play Manchester City in the Community Shield. So, depending on whatever level of significance you place on that game will determine how you assemble for it. And then the season kicks off with a home game against Coventry. And once the season kicks off, I mean, you ought to be as serious right from the onset as you have it. Otherwise, I wait to see how they will cope. Okay, Farouk said Rafael Leao has also failed to stand out, at least show what he can exactly deliver. So much playful like a puppy. Farouk is not the only one who has reservations over Rafael Leao. And the beauty I like about the discussion about Rafael Leao is that people do not question his talent, but they question his mentality and his overall sort of competitiveness. He sort of had his career have an upward trajectory, and then it reached some point and flatlined, and he's not been able to add to his game. So I understand where all of you come from when it comes to Rafael Leao. Spaghetti Dude said Arsenal can go back to the Premier League champions. Can go back to back Premier League champions again. I just believe they can. Well, they've never done it in the history of the Premier League. So we wait to be proven wrong. Yes, they can. They will try. I do not know whether they will be successful. But for me, how they start the season is going to be very, very critical. Because whereas how you start does not determine how you finish, when you look at the run of fixtures that they have in the first 8-10 games, you look at those as you look at them as majority winnable fixtures, because the first few weeks of the game, of the season, grant you the opportunity to play without midweek fixtures. And then soon after that, I think after the first 3 or 4 games, and then soon after that, the Champions League kicks in. And before you know it, you're playing every other, 3 to 4 days. So, and then the schedule becomes demanding. So with sort of all that in mind, that's why I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how, things play out when it comes to this Arsenal side and how they start the campaign. Okay. I'm praying, bro. That's from Epic. Name. Boadi from Morocco is looking good. Wouldn't him Wouldn't mind him at the Emirates. Zubimendi can be subbed. Well, first of all, Arsenal have an interest in strengthening that sort of position on the pitch. And that interest comes with the idea or the understanding that Zubimendi ended up playing so many games. And of course, that was partly due to injuries because Mikel Merino was out injured. Christian Nogard was not offered a lot of opportunity to play for reasons best known to Mikel Arteta. So they are looking at Ayubu Buadi as among the candidates that can come in at midfield, but they also hold interest in Sandro Tonali. That interest dates far back to January 2026 during the January transfer window. Then the other player that has been linked has been Matthias Fernandes, but I think given the current attention for Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspurs plus PSG, I do not think they're really active or exploring a deal for him. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, they are looking for a central midfielder in that role. Now, the way I've thought about that Morgan Rogers deal is that for me, I would, for example, want to see, especially in smaller games, instead of playing this double conservative pivot of Zubimendi and Declan Rice, play him alongside Martin Odegaard as your number 8 and then your Morgan Rogers as a 10 or Eberechi Eze in that sort of sense. Okay. Then Epic says, by the way, we have a serious lack of French players. Arsenal should be the go-to destination for French talent as far as we are concerned. Now, you remind me of a question, okay, not a question, of an opinion I raised in a different forum. It wasn't this forum. I was asking, can't Arsenal give Arsene Wenger a job in some form or shape? Yes, I understand he has a very big role and position with FIFA. I appreciate that. Not like a full-time staff. But when it comes to having a unique eye for sporting talent, young talent, or upcoming talent, Arsene Wenger was really elite. So I wouldn't mind having him, sort of recommending players, even if it has to be only specifically French players, because he was really good. He had a fair understanding of the French market, given that he's French and he had managed at Monaco. So, I'll take him up on that offer. Or if I were Arsenal, I'd offer him that in his busy schedule as head of football development with FIFA, yeah. He almost signed Kylian Mbappe. Like, he wanted to sign Eden Hazard before he went to Chelsea. He wanted to sign Lionel Messi, by the way. But he was forced to choose between Messi and Cesc Fabregas. And at the time he chose Fabregas. He wanted to sign Cristiano Ronaldo before Sir Alex Ferguson beat him to the punch. So when it comes to so many unique players, he tried to sign. Forget his failings in that regard, because largely it was due to finances that sort of limited him. You remember when he tried to sign one Manuel Mata from Valencia, and he fell short on his wage demands because he sort of had a wage cap. So, and that sort of thing. So when it comes to French players and French market, and you suggesting that Arsenal should be really dipping their toe in it strongly, yeah, I sort of agree with you on that one. Then Farouk says, I think Arteta is looking at workaholic, a workaholic 10, not even by numbers, but help destabilize the opposite team he's playing. Okay, fair enough. You say Arsenal need a Kenan Yildiz, but I do not think they are willing to pay in excess of £85 million to Juventus, as much as they may not trust how he can survive Premiership aggressiveness and speed. Now, Kenan Yildiz is one of those players that have been discussed before at Arsenal, from my understanding. However, Juventus are saying he's one of their crown jewelries, and they're not willing to part ways with him. But Kenan Yildiz, of course, even Nico Paz has been mentioned, but I the other day explained the situation of Nico Paz. Real Madrid have a buyback clause worth 10 million euros, having signed him for only 2. Then Jose Mourinho does not think he has room for him in his team. But then Real Madrid are also pondering maybe they buy him back and loan him back or sell him. Now, I've said this without any fear of contradiction. If I'm Real Madrid, I'm buying back Nico Paz. for 10 million euros and then loan him back to Como because, first of all, the player wants to stay at Como and assess Fabregas. So I buy him back, loan him back to Como for 1 season, and then we wait for next summer. Who knows what will have changed then? But if at then he's still not good enough to fit within the Real Madrid setup, that's when then I sell him for top dollar. So he's sort of the kind of player that is capable of fetching you at least 40 to 50 million euros as things are at the moment when you look at the current market, or even more, depending on who negotiates for you a deal. Okay. But yeah, Kenan Yildiz is one of those good ones. Then the other day we were having a conversation, I don't remember with who exactly, and somebody was saying, can't Arsenal do something sneaky, go and tempt Real Madrid into acquiring Adagula as their number 10 reluctant gamer? What do you, sorry, every one of you that is part of the broadcast, and more importantly, Farouk or Gladiator, what do you make of Adagula in an Arsenal setup as a number 10? What do you think about that? Completely agree. France is having a revival and we are missing out. Yeah, France is currently producing the best forward players, especially from attacking midfield in terms of the number 10s, wingers and forwards. Because when you look at their attacking sort of talent is crazy. Kylian Mbappe, Desiree Doué, Bradley Bacola, Ousmane Dembele, Michael Olise, Ryan Cherki. They have this Magnus Aklecho who plays for Monaco. You look at Marcus Thuram. They have a Rando Kolomwani. They have a rich sort of forward. Jean-Philippe Mateta is even a forgotten player on the bench somewhere. So they're really, really having good talent, especially when it comes to, you know, those forward players. And it was Arsene Wenger who also said that present day, if you need a forward player, go look around France. If you need a midfielder, look around Spain. If you need defenders, go somewhere in South America. And he couldn't have said it any better. Okay, who will replace Odegaard? Now, for starters, I do not know with absolute certainty that Odegaard is going to be leaving. There are Arsenal fans that who say for them they will be willing to sell him for the right price. Although I'm sort of caught between a rock and a hard stone on that particular issue of Martin Odegaard. For the right fee, I'll part ways with him. But the question is, who do you replace him with? That's a very, very big question to answer, because Arsenal do not have a player that is good at recycling play as good as Martin Odegaard, that is good at with sort of either coming down the tempo when you need to sort of manage the game through ball possession, and you need to recycle the ball as much as you can. I don't think they have a player that does that as good as, you know, Martin Odegaard. Okay, so when it comes to a possible replacement for Martin Odegaard, for now, Viola, your guess is as good as mine. Your guess is as good as mine. I look around and it's not that those players are not out there, but they could possibly cost you an arm and a leg if things are to go your way. Could you imagine Kvicha Kvaratskhelia at Arsenal? Well, that's from Spaghetti Dude. I have imagined him there. He will be a great signing, but it's just not going to happen. He's one of those players that Arsenal have inquired about, but PSG, adamant, some of these players are not for sale. And among those players, they talked about Kvicha Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, Vitinha, Joao Neves. They've talked about, what's his name? The fullbacks, Akraf Hakimi and Nuno Mendes. So in that sort of core, those players that they believe are untouchable because their ambition is to win the UEFA Champions League for a third consecutive time. So that's why. Okay, Epic says, Adagula, haven't seen enough. You say, I would rather go for Endrick as a 10, sell Odegaard and give Mourinho 120. Now, remember, if you're looking at Endrick as a replacement for Martin Odegaard, you're not getting the same player. Endrick is more of a forward and Odegaard is more of a midfielder, if that makes sense. So I do not think you will be getting the replacement that you're looking for in that one. You responded to Spaghetti Dude saying that's a dream. Farouk said, I think Adagula also may not. You say, I think Adagula also may not also be capable of coping up with the physicality of the Premiership. He's still a small boy as well. Okay. Odegaard is always great at starting the press. Yeah. So he's good at a couple of things. But obviously, he has his inefficiencies. And that's why I'm saying I want to see, especially depending on the caliber of opponent that you're up against, I would love to see Arsenal play a single pivot and play Martin Odegaard as the 8 because he likes to drift deep. He loves going forward as well, and then have a different player for a 10. And let's see how that player execute sort of in the manner that Bruno Fernandes does execute for Manchester United. Create the chances. Bang in the goals whenever you can, but create the chances as often as you can. So as opposed to, because oftentimes I feel he's absent in position when he needs to be impacting play in an offensive sense. Then he has the thing of delaying a pass, on failing to make the pass when you think it should be obvious. He has that element about him. But for me, I always feel those are things that you can improve with coaching. Today we were talking about the England game against Ghana, and I was talking about Declan Rice, and I said, if Declan Rice is coach, I'm sending him to watch tapes of Luka Modric, Xavi Hernandez, Andrea Pirlo, Yuri Tillemans, maybe even a Paul Scholes, maybe a Gerrard, all those sorts of caliber of, or even, how could I forget, a Toni Kroos, so that he improves his passing range and game. Because yes, he can win the ball back. He's a good ball carrier, advancing with it forward, but sometimes he needs to play that really important pass, long pass, quick pass from deeper positions, and it just doesn't give it to you, So that's how I look at it. There's a Moroccan passionately singing their national anthem, and it's really, really interesting because kickoff is only 5 minutes underway for the game between Scotland and Brazil, as well as Morocco against Haiti. My focus obviously is going to be with the Brazil game. That's where I'll have most of my attention, because I believe Scotland, have everything to play for. Wow. When you look at the stadium, all painted in yellow, okay, not all, almost all, but also the Scottish on the other side, all painted in blue. It's just epic to see. One of the things I enjoy at the World Cup, or used to enjoy at the World Cup, was the Mexican wave, because from watching it from a distance or on TV, it almost felt in unison, and they all did it in uniformity, that it came off quite beautifully well. So I don't know what you guys, but for me, the Mexican wave is one of those things that I oftentimes look forward to, having or watching at the World Cup. So anyways, so those are some of the transfers when it comes to Arsenal. Then also, Arsenal want to sign Julian Alvarez. They have interest in the player dating back to last summer. However, they also understand and are aware that that the player would prefer a move to Barcelona. Nonetheless, Gladiator, who was that standing in front of Ronaldo Nazario de Lima? Now, nonetheless, they know for a fact that Atletico de Madrid would rather sell to a foreign team like Arsenal than they would to a team like Barcelona, their rival. He's also Leite Kaka, Rivaldo, some of the Brazil greats out there watching, I've just seen a Brazil fan clad in that yellow kit. It's almost faint. It's almost golden yellow in a way. Very passionate, having the 5 stars somebody scammed me with one that has 4 stars as opposed to a 5. Anyway, I just did not pay keen detail to that. So now, in Arsenal's pursuit of Julian Alvarez, they are willing, they are aware of Atletico de Madrid's interest in Victor Gyökeres, and they are willing to do a swap deal plus cash to get Julian Alvarez. Now, I do not know. I don't know. Would it be bad to have both players? I mean, Arsenal are going to lose Gabriel Jesus. You're going to lose Gabriel Jesus. What's the harm in having Julian Alvarez and Victor Gyökeres in the same team? I see no harm in that. So you say 4-star shot, yeah. maybe the vendor did not think I was worthy of the 5 stars. But anyways, that's what happens with getting a replica of a replica of a replica of a jersey. Sometimes certain details are missed. I've seen it particularly, for example, when it comes to those shoes where you have Adidas as as something else, Okay. So yeah, the interest from in as far as Arsenal concerned is really, really there for Julian Alvarez. But those are the circumstances surrounding the deal. So they know it will be a difficult deal. So basically, they have to play a waiting game and see where it lands, because they know for a fact that Atletico Madrid are going to insist that he can only leave for Barcelona if Barcelona pay his release clause, which is 500 million euros, which I do not think they're going to pay anyways. And then maybe that's where the opportunity would land for Julian Alvarez. So Alvarez is not opposed to a move to Arsenal. It's just not his priority. That's the honest bit. So we'll have to wait and see on that one as well as things go. Okay, let me take in some of your comments. Farouk said England is suffering with Gerard Lampard situation in Rice and Anderson style of play. Okay. Foster shot, yes. Reluctant Gamer says, hey, brother, where's the Brazil kit? By the way, yeah, I just did not don it today. I almost wore it in the morning. But and then by the time I remembered it for this evening's broadcast, I'd already started the live. And I'm not a fan of stepping away and leaving you guys to watching an empty chair while I go indulge myself in swapping out a kit, But it is there. One of these days, or before the end of this week, you could see me donned in it. Okay. Epic says, I'm sorry, but Jesus and Alvarez type doesn't work in the Premier League. Think Ken, Rooney, Shearer, Henry, etc. That's okay. Not necessarily that it doesn't work, in my opinion, but for me, I'm thinking just have both. Have the traditional 9 and then have the sort of false one. Just have both. There's no harm in having both. Spaghetti says, who has the best World Cup kit and the least appealing one? Now, I must say, I'm a bit biased about all white kits. There's a way white just looks nice for me, even though some of the designs that may be attached to some whites may not come off really, really impressively. But everything white for me is an attraction. White, I love black. I saw I think the Canadians and the Norwegians have black kits. The Brazil kit, obviously, is a nice one. And that's a bit biased for me. England have a really, really good kit, but I mean, it's white anyways. The Scotland blue is also good. It's also good. Let me see. I'm trying to remember. Argentina's kit is really nice. They always have had nice kits. For Argentina is really nice. I like it. Then I'm trying to remember the other kits that I've seen. But you guys can also remind me some of the other kits that you've seen and you really, really like them at the World Cup. United Road, Viola says he's looking for United Road 10. Well, Viola, your guess is as good as mine. I also only wait for him here. This is the only place we get to interact, and for as long as he doesn't show up, I'm not aware of his whereabouts. And unfortunately, there's not a single person that I can ask around. Okay, it's Real Madrid propaganda. It gets us all. Real Madrid propaganda pertaining who? Then you say, for me, nothing beats the blue and white stripe Argentina kit. Yeah, it's a really good one. Is David Beckham busy sipping on some wine? Jesus Christ. Director's box. Real Madrid white propaganda. No, it's not a Real Madrid white propaganda. Even though Real Madrid tends to often have white kits. But it's not really about Real Madrid propaganda. My favorite colors, or some of my favorite colors, is white, black, and navy blue. Those are the colors that really, really get me. They really, really get me. And I'm sure some of you have seen me in those Football Tribe UG kits. They're in navy blue. There are only 2 of them, but they're in navy blue. Then for black, only because the temperature these days is crazy, so I oftentimes refrain from wearing black, but at least I have a pair of black t-shirts in my closet. So, and then white, I think majority of my white t-shirts I've worn out. There's only one that is left, and plus the PSG kit, plus the Chelsea kit, which I wore the other day, and Aguna was telling me it is haram to be wearing a Chelsea kit. And I was explaining to him the context. Okay. Spaghetti Dude says, for me, every kit seems nice except Netherlands home kit. I mean, let me reserve my comments about the colors of the Netherlands. You can't even see this name on the back because of the color. I think the color combination is not that great. Isn't it orange-ish, depending? Orange-ish. This is what? I don't know what color this is. Oh, maybe the other color that I also like is coffee brown. Coffee brown is really a good color. Italy always with good blue, but they didn't come. Those ones have not come for now 3 editions. So we have already forgotten about them and how they look like in their kits. We've already forgotten about them. Oh, why people at first they said Chelsea give us bad kit. Now they're saying Chelsea have the best kit. No, for me, the Chelsea kit, the home kit, the blue one, I don't know. I did not like it that much. And across an entire season, I see lots of kits that I really, really love. Obviously, I cannot afford acquiring all of them. Ajax oftentimes have nice kits. I don't like the PSG home kit for this season. Manchester United's home kit is good, although I cannot wear it. Chelsea has the worst kit. Viola, if you needed any reaffirmation, there it is. I mean, obviously, the majority, many Chelsea fans have praised it, but it's good. I mean, it's the case of Owenga Biawana. You'll praise what is yours, really. So that's what some Chelsea fans have done. But when you compare with some of the other kits out there, it's not a good one. I like the Madrid short-sleeved kit. I don't like the long-sleeved. That's for the home kit. Then I'm trying to recall. Leads some oftentimes have nice, really, really nice kits. Then let me see. The Liverpool home kits, not too bad, although people have criticized it for the spiky white spots. They've compared it to a certain a certain type of beans commonly consumed in Uganda. Jesus Christ. Anyways, when our opponents are going to have burnt on you, they'll always have it, regardless of what you have in your locker room. Oh, it's a goal for Brazil. Vinicius Jr. opens the scoring for Brazil. What a halwa in defense. He's scored his third goal at the World Cup and for the third consecutive game. That Barcelona, you say that Barcelona neon green classic kit was an ISO, but they played some beautiful football. Yeah, Gladiator, you Viola is wondering. Yeah, beautiful goal. I mean, what is he thinking? That hesitation. Run, intercepts the ball, goes directly in the path of Vinicius Jr., who dribbles past the goalkeeper and puts it glidely, guides it in the back of the net, an empty net, so to speak. He'll be devastated about that. Error. And I hope he recovers from that error. Because oftentimes, when you play a game of football and you commit such a horrendous error like the defenders committed, you sort of struggle for the rest of the game. You struggle. McKenna may struggle for the rest of the game. What can help you recover sometimes is if your team sort of scores in quick succession, like the restore parity, and then you have a semblance of the game being back to parity. It's funny when one of the senior players on Scotland national team lets them down. Yeah, like it's very unfortunate, but that's the risk of playing from out of the back. The moment you have a moment of hesitation, you're going to be punished. You remember also against Morocco, they conceded an early goal around the 11th minute or 10th minute thereabout, and it eventually ended 1-0, you know. Viola says, Liverpool, it's very bad. Okay. Spaghetti Dude says, Real Madrid will have the iconic green kit back. Waiting to order for that. I'm not a fan of green that much as a color. I'm not. I've always preferred their blue kits, the away kits. There's that kit from about what season? Around 2020, 2021, or 2021, 2022. One of those away kits was really, really, the blue one is really, really nice. My brother stole my own kit, so in a way. Scotland pushing for an equalizer. Oh, Haiti leading Morocco. I need to look up that game. On my other feet. I'd slept on the job for that one. But yeah, they're leading Morocco by 0-0. Wow, wouldn't that be a night? Wouldn't that be some night if Haiti were to... Oh. Scott McTominay wants to do things acrobatically. That was a good run for Matas Cunha from the deeper positions. up front. Although it felt like Brazil did not have sufficient numbers up front. Oh, bit of a cheeky goal for Team Haiti. I think that's their first key goal. Oh, Charles Wenger, Pepe, Gianni Infantino, Ronaldo Nazario, Darima, Kaka, all the big shots are out there enjoying the game of Team Brazil. Okay. The blue kit where Ronaldo scored the bicycle kick against Juventus. No, not that one. Let me try looking it up. Gladiator said coffee. Oh, the Moroccans are really, really pushing for that equalizer as soon as possible. Spaghetti Dude, it was the 2021-2022 away kit. Look for that one. Look for pictures of that one. 2021-2022, the away kit. It was blue. It's really, really nice. Gladiator said Kafu, and and YouTube translated it to coffee. So I was wondering what is coffee supposed to mean, but he said he was talking about Kafu. Yes, Kafu, the Brazilian right back. Okay, thanks for that, Gladiator. I do not have a PhD in math. I don't have a PhD in math. Is 3 points enough for Scotland to pass in the best third place? It could be because among the best third place teams, amongst them are teams with 3 points. So it depends. You could have 3 points with some good goal difference or a negative one. So it depends. It depends. So 3 points could take you through, but it will have to remember they only scored 1 goal, and that was against Haiti. Against Morocco, they did not score. So their goal difference is 0. As it stands, it's -1 because they've conceded. Spaghetti says, "Oh yes, that kit. I forgot that kit existed." Lolo, yeah, it was a really, really nice kit. I had that kit, and a brother of mine took it from me. And I tried to buy it again, but they were out of stock at the time. And you know how the kit market works in Uganda is that once a new season falls and new kits come out, getting old kits becomes a whole hurdle, especially for some of those rare kits that they do not bring in enormous quantities. Scotland is not among the best losers. At the moment, I do not think they are among us. I don't think they are among those. I mean, there's quite a couple of teams with 4 points now. The teams, the likes of Bosnia, remember the likes of now Croatia have a negative goal difference of a -1. So they're in a similar position with Scotland. I don't know how, if it came down to that, what would be the criteria for choosing one? Maybe it will go down to goals conceded. Who knows? Epic says, looks like it. Next season, best kit, Arsenal, Chelsea, then Man U. Next season, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man U. I think to be fair, Man U's home kit is better than that of Chelsea. That's my fair assessment of it. That's my fair assessment of it. It's a good kit. If I disabuse myself of any bias that I could have about Manchester United, like the banter part about it aside, they have a really, really good home kit. I've not seen the one of Tottenham Hotspurs. You say, I think we can all agree Newcastle and Aston Villa have the ugliest kits. I'm not sure. Oh, I think I've seen the Newcastle kit. Yeah, it looked ugly. Newcastle's home kit looked ugly. I don't think I have a perfect recollection of how the Aston Villa kit looks like, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't look good either. Bosnia has 4 points and looks more suited for best losers. Yes, Bosnia is one of those. Remember also, Ghana is going to play against Croatia in the final game of their group, and then England are going to play Panama. But if Ghana lose, they will still qualify as the one of the best losers, because they already have 4 points following that draw against England. Then the other country is South Africa. Now, South Africa need to beat South Korea. Unfortunately, I do not think that's going to be the case. But in that group of South Africa, Czech Republic need to beat Mexico. If they can beat Mexico, they'll go to 4 points. So basically, they could also go through as best losers. But it's a bit tricky for them. Uh-oh. Come on. Uh-oh. It won't be successful. I thought Brazil were going to be taken on a spin. So let's see with some of here they come again. There's a way. Oh, Vinicius Jr. wanted to score a Trivela, but he did not catch it too well. Now, Roberto Carlos. So let's see. Morocco also have 4 points. Scotland have 3 points. Haiti have 3 points. As the results stand at the moment. And Brazil will be at 7. So, but let's wait for the 90 minutes. Then in USA's group, which is Group D, USA have already qualified. They have 6 points. Their final game is against Turkey. Turkey have nothing to lose. They're already out. But and then Australia against Paraguay. Now those two just need a draw. They just need a draw. Because a draw guarantees that Australia qualifies as the second best team from Group D, but then it would also mean that Paraguay accumulate 4 points. Roberto Carlos capturing what? He's capturing moments of the game as well. Maybe snapping a photo of one of these juniors, So Group D is also interesting. If Paraguay and Australia can share the spoils, they just need a draw. Regardless of any draw, they just need a draw. Is he an agent? I'm not particularly sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he was, because many retired players go into that direction. I've seen the likes of Javier Pastore, the likes of Mamadou Sissoko, or Musa Sissoko. Then you also have the curious case of Group E, where Germany have already qualified. Cote d'Ivoire have 3 points. Their final game is going to be against Curaçao. Now, Ecuador's last game is against Germany. Now, Ecuador need to beat up against Germany. It will get them to 4 points. While Cote d'Ivoire need to beat up against Curaçao to also accumulate 3 points. I do not think they can beat Curaçao by more than 7 goals. Oh, it's a goal. Vinicius Jr. with the second of the night and his fourth of the tournament. This is what I've always been asking of him, to step up at the Brazil national team, just like he does at Real Madrid. And looks like he's responding. The Scottish cannot believe it. They're being blown out of the water as we head towards the hydration break. Ismail Sarabia. Okay. Let me see. Don't forget Enrique's dad is Ribato. Ecuador has disappointed me. I know. OMG, you called it McKenna is having a shocker. Yeah, it happens. It happens once you commit a mistake. Once you make a mistake in a game, it impacts on your overall confidence. Oh, the goal is going to have to be checked. I don't know for what specifically. Is there a foul in the build-up? There appears to be a foul. Has he taken a stamp on his foot? He does. Would that not be a soft foul? I think he's going to roll it out. I have a feeling he's going to roll it out. Decision is no goal. Vinicius Jr. is judged to have committed a foul in the build-up, so it stays 1-0. Okay. Let me see. Scotland did one mistake to think that they can pass the ball and compete with Brazil. I mean, time for the hydration break. Time for the hydration break. So, in that group of Germany, which is by the possible, it's really, really possible. Like I said, Cote d'Ivoire just need to beat Curaçao, maybe 2-0 or 3-0. Either way, for as long as they don't beat them by more than 5 goals, maybe 6 goals, they'll finish second. And then Germany, even if they lose against Ecuador, Ecuador will finish with 4 points, and then it can qualify as to the round of 32 as among the best losers. So there's that. That's from Group E. Then when you go to Group F, there's also an interesting scenario there. Now, Sweden have a date against Japan. Netherlands have a date against Tunisia. Tunisia have lost their opening 2 games. So for starters, Netherlands need to beat Tunisia to finish at the top of the group. Japan also need to beat Sweden to see if they can finish at the top of the group. But Sweden just need a point out of that game. So they will be hoping for a draw. A draw would help them qualify to the round of 32 because it would see them finish third with 4 points. So that's another sort of group. How is that a foul? And the England tackle versus Ghana was it? Well, different referees. That's all I can say. But yeah, Vinicius Jr. does appear to stamp on his foot before snatching the ball away from him. So, is it a soft foul? In my opinion, yes. But is it a foul? Is there a decision to be made? Yes. But that's where the game has gone for us. So really, Ismail Sarabia wants a penalty for that. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so that's from Group F. But how is that a foul? Vinicius is just more fast than the Scottish defender. He did appear to have a slight stamp on his foot, but for me, it's a soft foul. It's a soft foul. But as soon as he was sent to the monitor, I really knew what decision he was going to come up with. Because, I don't know, sometimes these referees are just afraid of sticking with their own field decision. Then Group G. Group G is another interesting one because Egypt lead the way with 4 points. 2 teams have 2 points. And Iran, Belgium, 2 points. Then New Zealand. So Belgium, I think, play New Zealand. Egypt will play Iran. So Egypt need a draw. Iran need to win. Otherwise, they would then have to pray for a draw between Belgium and New Zealand. Jesus Christ. That's one of headache. That's one of headache. That Miami Stadium looks more like a regional airport than a stadium. Okay, then when you go to Group H, where Spain are leading the way, Uruguay and Cape Verde both have 2 points. The beauty about this game is that Cape Verde plays Saudi Arabia in the final game. Uruguay plays Spain. So if you're Cape Verde, you must be fancying your chances against Saudi Arabia. You must be fancying your chances against Saudi Arabia because if you beat up against Saudi Arabia, trust me, you will have qualified because I do not think Uruguay is going to beat Spain. Not that it is impossible, I just don't think it will happen. Excuse me. You know, the Scottish are on their feet because John McGinn had floated in quite a beautiful ball, just could not meet its intended target. By the way, Brazil had better not be complacent. Meanwhile, in the Morocco-Haiti game, looks like the Haiti goalkeeper is a standout player thus far. He's having to make save after save. He's having to make save after save. He's just made a double save just a short while ago. Then in the group of France, Norway, Senegal, and Iraq, I mean, unless Senegal can beat Iraq by like 6 goals, that's when they would sort of think of themselves as having a chance. As having a chance. My device is crashing out. So, meanwhile, 75% of you said Brazil will win. 17% said Scotland to win, and 8% said it's a draw. That's according to the 12 votes cast as per the poll question. So then Argentina, Austria, Algeria, Jordan. Now, Algeria have to play Austria in the final game. Argentina will be up against Jordan, a game that I think Argentina will win, regardless. But for Austria and Algeria, those ones just need to play it out a draw, and both teams will qualify. One as a second best team, and the other advancing as a third best loser. You just need to get yourself 4 points. The moment you get yourself 4 points, trust me, you have a huge, huge chance of making it to the round of 32. Okay. He is due millions of followers on Instagram. Is due millions of followers in Instagram. Are you talking about the Cape Verde goalkeeper? I mean, that's just crazy growth. I mean, can you imagine from you're saying the Haiti goalkeeper? Yeah, maybe. I mean, the Cape Verde goalkeeper, I mean, one brilliant game, and he went from 50,000 followers to what? Last I checked, what? It was somewhere in 13 million followers, apparently. Jesus Christ. That's just crazy. Looks like Scotland, in the last couple of minutes, ever since the hydration break, they've turned up the heat on Brazil. They are looking the more threatening side, you know. They are looking to be the most threatening side. Brazil will have to be careful on conceding so many corners. Otherwise, football made in Scotland may get them punished. Okay, Epic says 17 million. When I checked, more than KDB, one of the best. Sorry, more than KD, one of the best basketball. Kevin Durant, one of the best basketball players. Yeah, man, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, he's not going to be poor again. Unfortunately for him, he comes from a country of a very small population of about 500,000 people. So, but when it comes to getting brand deals, yeah, he should be getting himself some deals. He's now a global superstar. Football is king. Yeah, the king of sport. Meanwhile, Haiti were pushing for a second. Ismail Sarabia will understand why the Haitis have dark skinned and he's light skinned. Uh-oh. Ryan does not believe he was not awarded a corner from that action. He just can't believe his eyes. That should have been a corner kick. So wait. VAR can intervene for wrongly awarded corners, but cannot intervene for corners that are not been awarded. Amrabat played one game in life, and that was against Spain last World Cup. He's never turned up again. It's that one game that got him a loan deal to Manchester United. So never underestimate what 90 minutes can do for you. Epic says Scotland is not laying down. Obviously not. But Brazil seem to be getting back in the game. They had lost their momentum since the hydration break, but they're looking to get it back again. The Brazilians are being toyed with. Uh-oh. If it carries on like this, I do not think Ancelotti will risk it with the Neymar gimmick. I don't think it will be risking it. Off. But is Ryan really Brazilian? We could be here and he's masquerading. You say he's Chilean until I see more stepovers. He may as well be from what's that country that has a high altitude in South America? Brazil hate playing that team. It's a goal for Morocco. Akraf Hakimi restores parity for Morocco. I don't think it's Peru. Judge scores. Hakimi scores. Oh. You say Cendric Ferguson said Hendrick wanted to watch the World Cup from TV and Ancelotti took it away. Jesus Christ. The goalkeeper tried to intervene with a beautiful save, just could not react early enough to have that second ball. And it's 1-1. Morocco won. But it's going to be investigated by VAR for potential handball in the build-up. The goal stands. Yes, Bolivia. You know why I was doubting in my head? In my head, I had Bolivia in the head. But I remembered that scene from Suits when the three partners, Harvey, Jessica, and Luis, were asking about how much money they had left. And everybody sort of literally spoke their net worth. And Luis was flush with cash. He was almost like a prince. And then he was telling them that he was not willing to carry their water. In other words, it's just like USA and NATO and Bolivia. When they go to war, to say that Bolivia comes with peanuts in terms of contribution in comparison to what the US brings to the table. But yeah, That's Bolivia could be the country, yes, but not Peru. But yeah, Hakimi has scored rest of parity, so it's 1-1 between Morocco and Haiti, while Brazil continue to lead by a goal to nil against Scotland. So I don't know. Does any of you watch Suits, or has any of you ever watched Suits? Could be making reference to something that only I have seen. What was Matas Cunha trying to do? He's trying to carve that ball. He's trying to carve it around. That was far from a curve. By the way, anyway, let me not sort of downgrade myself into that conversation. As a part, you say I watched a few episodes when Meghan Markle married Harry. Okay, well, for me, it's one of the best TV series that I've watched. Trust me. Cunha could play as a striker in United after this World Cup. He's been played there before as a false nine. He's been played there before. You said, but what's Cunha doing on the pitch? That's what I first saw him do. Well, and there's another moment when he carried that ball from deeper areas. Oh, meanwhile, Haiti have scored. And they can't believe it. I've not known Yassine Bono to be a bad goalkeeper, but today doesn't seem to be his day. The Moroccans cannot believe it. The Moroccans cannot believe it. Imagine bowling against Brazil and then losing to Haiti. Isn't that football, though? You say Farouk has the best stream, so Ali, yeah, right on time. Right on time. But I mean, they considered possession in a dangerous area, beautiful strike from distance. Has one-sided call, and he knows what he's going to do right from the onset as he sort of sets that ball up. Goes for the strike. And Yassine Bono went the right way, just could not get to it. Is that the Haiti head coach? I mean, Guy did not celebrate. He remained just there looking on static, almost like a statue. Reminds me of watching Jose Mourinho doing something like that at one time. Second half, please, want to see Neymar play. That's Cedric Ferguson. Well, we'll have to wait and see whether he will be given an opportunity. But these Brazilians, that's a goal line clearance. Matas Cunha had an easy tap in, but it was cleared off the lines literally. Good run by Vinicius Jr. And then the cut back. And then the tap in, the attempted tap in by Cunha. Did not get to the line exactly, but almost close to a goal line clearance. Morocco will appeal the goal by email. Neymar play today or I'll go on bold. Well, that's on you. That's on you. I do not know why Amrabat was given this game, doing nothing in zone 14. And it's a goal. It's 2-2. Morocco 2, Haiti 2. Ismail Sarabia. Quick response. Ismail Saibari. I don't know why I call him Sarabia, but Saibari. The Moroccan from PSV Eindhoven who is joining Bayern Munich. Akraf Hakimi with the assist. Beautiful, beautiful goal. It's 2-2. Morocco and Haiti will end 5-5. My prediction. Let's hope that's how it works out in the end. Epic says, how many goals does that forward have? Now, he scores every game. He has 3 goals as well, just like Vinicius Jr. But that's just a beautiful cutback from Akraf Hakimi. Let's have a small dive into that starting 11. This is turning out to be one of the games of the World Cup thus far. But yeah, I don't know what happened to this kid. Ayub Boadi. He's the one that normally starts in that zone. And he's on the bench, by the way. He's on the bench. They chose Amrabat ahead of him. And El Anoy, Diaz, Saibari, El Kabi, Bilal El Kanous, Chris Reid. Oh, beautiful goal. Brazil 2-0 Scotland. Vinicius Jr. once again with a beautiful header. Morocco, here they come again. Morocco looking for the third just shortly before halftime. They continue to probe. Oh, how's he missed from there? Brahim Diaz. Brahim Diaz should be scoring from that position. But Vinicius Jr. with his second of the night and fourth of the campaign, now level with Kylian Mbappe. I mean, how they fight for that ball back is really, really impressive. And the header, just as good as the cross that preceded it. The Moroccans, here they come again. Oh, straight to the goalkeeper. Uh-oh. Brahim Diaz could not find his intended targets. Akraf Hakimi is having quite a brilliant game. Okay. Let me see some of you. Okay. Haiti is playing typical African ball. Then Haiti should walk off the pitch. Martinez and Cape Verde, Gike are the only goalkeepers I've seen this World Cup. That's from Cedric Ferguson. Gladiator says Scotland defense is just wasting our time. I mean, this idea of trying to play it from the back has really, really cost them. Because even when you look at that second goal, they are attempting to play it from the back as opposed to booting it away from the danger zone, and then they concede possession, and then the ball is floated in, and the rest is history. They get punished. Meanwhile, the game has gone into halftime for Morocco against Haiti. It's 2-2. But that ball for Vinicius Jr. was floated in by Bruno Guimaraes. Oh, what a miss. See, I told you, I'm questioning whether Ryan is actually Brazilian. you will give credit to Gunn, the Scottish goalkeeper, but for me, I still need to investigate. I mean, the control of the ball is actually Brazilian, but the finish is as Peru is as pale as Peru comes. Uh-oh. Corner kick for Team Brazil. Why do referees do that? Why? I make it make sense, guys. Why would the referee bring a game to a halt or call it to halftime when a team has a corner kick? It's not a guarantee that you score from a corner kick, but it's an opportunity for a goal. You know, I don't understand that meanness. Scotland defense is just wasting our time. We should be like 4 ahead. True. Cedric said when it is halftime, you should show us your cooking skills, sir. Get yourself something to snack on. We need to see the birth certificate. First of all, Epic, I'm not going to claim that I'm American, so I do not need to show my birth certificate. So that in the future I'm accused by Donald John Trump that I'm not a natural-born citizen, like he did accuse. I often equip myself with a glass of juice, not knowing how long a broadcast is going to take, plus a bottle of water, as you often see me sip through. Those are the equipments that I often have close to me. Now, in terms of snacking during a broadcast, I do not believe that would be wise. I mean, the last thing you'd want is to listen to me munching through a couple of crackers, you know. But I do enjoy what we call plantain crisps or gonja crisps. I know a lot of people call it plantain. It looks like a banana that is fried into chips. I really, really enjoy those. So unfortunately, I cannot consume them on the live. And then I find it quite, unless I have to or need to, I oftentimes refrain myself from stepping away from the broadcast and leaving you to sort of an empty chair, which is basically an empty chair and the world that acts as my background. And unless you want me to go to the green screen and then leave for you a photo on, okay. Somebody said, no, I mean Ryan. Okay. Oh, okay. We want to hear you eating, sir. Not gonna happen. But anyway, I already had my dinner. That was like at around 8 p.m. by the way. Around 8 p.m. Vinny is doing good. Yeah, reluctant gamer. He is doing brilliant. He's doing brilliantly well. Morocco having a hard time. Yeah. Haiti. Haiti is done well. It's done well. First of all, I think they've not been at the World Cup in 54 years. Haiti. Is it Haiti? Yes. Cedric cracked a joke and laughed alone at himself in high school. Okay. Anyways, guys, so anyway, you've already given your thoughts about the first half. 54 years, that's very long. Yeah, I mean, I think that was before any of us were born. That was before any of us were born. He's my buddy at, Cedric says he was my buddy at that high school. Okay. Anyways, okay. while we're at halftime, I mean, Brazil had a good first half. They managed to limit the danger or any damage whatsoever from the Scottish, apart from a couple of floated balls in the box. That's as close as the Scottish came. And yeah, Brazil did well defensively. And yet, it's in those defensive areas that we often have questions, especially when it comes to their fullbacks for the right back and left backs, respectively. Then that's nonsense. How does the team have one attempt on target and yet they have 2 goals? Make it make sense. So as it stands, no, that's not how it stands. Brazil is at 7 points. As things stand, Morocco would be at 5 points. Scotland at 3 points. That hesitation to play the pass to the left is what cost McKenna or McKenna. Yes, that hesitation. And then Ryan intercepts. Anyway, you first know yourself and then remember to say sorry. But that's the sort of risk that they had to take, playing from out of the back. How countries like Qatar have luck to go to the World Cup to do nothing and Uganda doesn't. Well, they are geographically well situated. It's a case of where you are and not where you come from. Because I'll give you an example. The same way a person in the USA is more likely to make more money than a person in Uganda. Why? Because there are more opportunities there. So when it comes to that part of Asia, yeah, Qatar, is it Asia or Middle East? Whichever you call it. They're one of the big teams. Saudi Arabia, now Iraq has come through, but Uganda can only dream. But let's be honest, we've also not been good enough in recent times, because with this new expanded format, where we have an opportunity to take as many as 9 countries directly and an extra country as through the playoffs, we should be doing enough to give ourselves a chance. So, and yet we came second in our group, and it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. So maybe next time better. Maybe next time better. Okay. Qatar is in the Middle East. Yes, thank you for the correction. So, I mean, when you look at the countries in that zone, in that part, the Middle East, I tend to confuse the Asia and the Middle East. Yet Asia has Japan, Korea, North Korea. When I say Korea, I mean South Korea. It has China, Malaysia. I think Bangladesh fall in that sort of realm. Does Pakistan fall to that side of the aisle? I don't know. So, but anyways, so Qatar is one of those countries. And remember, having hosted the previous edition, they had prepared themselves to have a better national team, and that's basically paid off to the extent of their qualification for this edition as well. Okay, Brazil will play either Holland or Japan or Sweden. I don't think any of those is a preferable candidate, but if you had to choose one of those 3, you'd rather Sweden, because they appear to be, if their game against Netherlands is anything to go by, they appear to be the weaker side. But that game against Netherlands, for me, the scoreline did not reflect the entire picture of the game, because, first of all, Sweden had more shots on goal or attempts on target than Netherlands had. Sweden were not as clinical as the Dutch, because the Dutch, I think, had about 7 attempts on targets, and they scored 5 of those. Sweden had as many as 12, they scored with only one. So it boiled down to Bad Bregen being exceptional in goal as opposed to it being an obliteration or an overall dominancy of the Dutch against the Swedes. So, or this, are they called Swedes? Whichever they are called. So, but I think Brazil would fancy their chances against Sweden than they would against the Dutch because they know what the Dutch are capable of. And then the Japanese, I don't know. You cannot trust that you cannot lose against them. You cannot trust that you cannot lose against them. Jordan, Qatar, Iran, Saudi Arabia, those are the countries from the Middle East. Okay. The game against Holland was just due to many mistakes by the Swedish defense. Or defender. Now, yes, I understand that, but for me, the Dutch, okay, they're just putting out their chances. But Bart Verbruggen has had many saves in that one. He had 3 saves against Victor Gyökeres. He had another against Isak. They really trying because they had been as clinical with their chances. Trust me, that game could have easily ended 7-5 in the favor of the Swedes or the Sweden side. But I think if you're Brazil, you're hoping out of all those, excuse me, that you're hoping that out of all those 3 countries, you're better off facing Sweden as it is. Not that they'll be an easy opponent, but their defense is suspect or susceptible to conceding as many as 5. This Haiti goalkeeper has been really good. Has been really good. It's a shame that he's considered 2. But the first one was really unfortunate because he got his hand to it, and instead of, I would want to assume he was trying to push it over the bar, but it sort of dropped within the danger zone before Akraf Hakimi buried it to make it 1-1 at the time. And then that Haiti second goal. Now, the swerve on that ball reminds me of something that Joy Hart has complained about these World Cup balls, and did you guys ever make paper planes or paper boxes, paper origamis? The stadium where Morocco and Haiti are playing looks like a piece of paper that has been used to, make a box or an origami or a paper plane in some way. This Sunderland boy, Isidro, has had a good shot against Morocco. Oh, yeah, the forward Isidro. Meanwhile, Brian Brobby also, remember, Netherlands had a change of tactics. Instead of playing Cody Gakpo as their first 9 or target man, this time around they deployed Brian Brobby, and now they had a direct target man. And Cody Gakpo looked really good coming from the flanks. That's how he ended up with the brace and I think an assist. Then Brian Brobby also had quite the brilliant game. He scored a brace in there. Although I'm not one of those that rate him really highly, as some people do. Some people, okay, I know he physically bullies defenders and things like that, but it did not come off the way. For me, I do not look at it that way. All teams are getting back underway for the second half. Let me ask, what are the rules of the World Cup to the extent of getting a medal? when the team wins. Does every player get a medal, even those that did not kick a ball, or it's like league football? I mean, wouldn't that be injustice if it were to be the case? But anyways, the Moroccans are back. The Haitis are back. You see placards of Ronaldinho Gaucho, de Assis Moreira, Pele, Neymar Santos Jr., and Ronaldo Nazario Danime are really, really brilliant, out there. McLean, Khan, Angus Khan. Meanwhile, Ismail Saibari is quite the scoop, or appears to be quite the scoop for Bayern Munich. Signed from PSV Eindhoven for about 50 or 55 million euros. All players, subs, and reserves get a medal. I mean, definitely they do, but just imagine getting a medal for wearing your kit and not playing. Has Neymar done his coaching badges? Guys, has Neymar Santos Jr. done his coaching badges? Because he's acted more like a coach than a player in this tournament. Argentina will play either Uruguay or Cape Verde. I mean, I think they would rather play Cape Verde. But Uruguay, that will be quite an epic Copa America derby or South American derby. So now look at this one. You had the entire 14 minutes of halftime to tighten your shoes, and now you've walked onto the pitch and you're tightening them. Did you guys notice almost all players are wearing pink boots? Apparently, pink blends well with green. That's why majority of the players have been wearing pink boots. Scotland are making a substitution. They're introducing Kian Tierney for I don't know who. For Andy Robertson. Now, Kian Tierney is one of the best left backs that I've seen in recent times, but injuries did him dirty. It was injury after injury, injury after injury. He's a very good crosser of the ball. 1v1 is good. He's sort of fast. He's a really, really good player, These balls that need to be fast charged before they are used are also causing trouble. One day somebody is going to give it a thunderbolt of a kick, and then it will end up busting before it hits the back of the net or gets to its final destination. Spaghetti says, so many Koreans support Mexico. What's the relation? Oh, Koreans supporting Mexico because they know that if, for example, Czech Republic beat up against Mexico, it takes Czech Republic to 4 points. And yet, if South Korea were to lose to South Africa, it leaves South Korea at 3 points and takes South Africa to 4 points. So they must be rooting for Czech Republic to get hammered. So that's the relationship or the correlation there. They give 40 medals, I think, for the World Cup winner. Okay. If England lose against Panama, they may play Portugal in the round of 32. Jesus Christ. Wouldn't that be crazy? Will be a reminder of the quarterfinals of the 2006. That game ended in a goalless draw, by the way, and went to penalties, which the Portuguese won, I think, 5-3. So in 2006 in German. So, yeah, that would be a big, big game. Now, you can imagine the English with all their egos and Media, I've already seen they've written all these sorts of articles about what's wrong with the national team just because they did not win against Ghana. And it is their prerogative to do as such, by the way. But oftentimes, I feel they're a little too reactionary and they always want to have it their way as opposed to having it the manager's way, you know? So we'll have to wait and see. Has Monga officially joined Arsenal? Not yet. Not yet. They're still haggling, negotiating that deal to see if they can, land it home. But it's not yet over the line. It's a conversations continue. Oh, guys, there's one thing I'd forgotten about. I'd not thought about it. The battery for this, for my streaming device. I think Brazil has given, I think Brazil has this game won. I'm going to call it a night. Good chat. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much, Epic Handle Name. It's been a pleasure having you around, having your company and your esteemed contribution to the discussion. I mean, a 2-0, it could be as good as one, but for me, I never take anything for granted. I know, oh, that's a beautiful cross. And Scott McTominay was getting his head to it. Was getting his head to it. It was straight at Arson Ramses Baker. The Scottish fans are too expectant. They know they want that one go back. That one go back. It's what could make the difference for them. Anyways, I need to plug in my phone to be charging just in case. The second half is off to a great start in the Morocco-Haiti game as well. Oh, that's a beautiful pass from Lucas Paqueta to Vini Jr. Jesus Christ. How does he miss that for a hat-trick? I think his mind was caught in maybe more than one decision to make for that. You know, should be making a better decision there. But it was such an excellent pass from Lucas Paqueta. Uh-oh. Scottish wanted to appeal for a penalty after one of their own going down. But the referee said play on. Ah, that's such a poor ball from the goalkeeper. I feel like Brazil need the third goal just to put this game to bed. Just to put this game to bed. Uh-oh. Wow. What a miss from the Moroccans. But it would have been offside. Ismail Saibari. What a miss. Ah. Come on. Oof. Vinicius Jr. trying his luck from distance, but not being too successful. Oh. Brahim Diaz. Being brought down. She can't believe he did not get a foul. Like it was me who was fouled. Looks like teams are going to play it cool or easy, particularly for Scotland and Brazil. Maybe Scotland should get one back here. Just for a wake-up call on these Brazilians that they ought to take the second half more seriously. Far is not having it for a penalty call here. Gabriel Magalhaes, a suspect in that incident. Oh, beautiful pass. From Saibari. That's more like Kieran Tierney. Sometimes good players or young players or talented players, very unlucky with injuries. Very unlucky with injuries. Oh, wow. What a save that was from the Haiti goalkeeper. Can imagine if he hadn't made all the saves that he's made thus far in this game, how many they would have conceded by now. But at him from distance. I don't know why referees are not awarding the right corners today. Kind of press is that? We are approaching the 1 hour mark in the Brazil game. Already at it in the Morocco game. Wow, that's a beautiful pass. Come on. Danilo can no longer run. Looks like Danilo can no longer run. Otherwise, that's a brilliant pass. Come on. Lucas Paqueta missing quite the opportunity. Morocco are really pushing to try and get the third, but it's not falling in their way thus far. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Come on. It's a goal. Matthias Cunha, at long last, scores to make it 3-0. And it does his dance. Brazil 3, Scotland 0. Somebody did the donkey's work. Somebody did the donkey's work. Now that's Brazil. Oh, beautiful interplay. Bruno Guimaraes did all the dirty work and laid up for Cunha. And all he had to do was glide it into the back of the net. The goalkeeper was already caught on the wrong side of things. He was only returning. And that's 3 goals for Matthias Cunha at the World Cup. Oh. Uh-oh. Danilo just took Kian Tierney out. Oh, right on the edge of the area. It's not going to be a penalty. but it was right on the edge to be a free kick. Never thought I would see the day when Brazil was so devoid of great talents in their fullback positions that they have to rely on, some of these AG players. Oh, tried to go for goal directly, but this low budget Jesus looking goalkeeper in Asom Ramses Baker rose to the challenge. Oh, what a brilliant save from Alson Ramses Baker. Tierney with the beautiful cross. It's headed right on target. And then by Scott McTominay, and Alson Ramses Baker was there to make the save. That's offside. Even he knew it. Vinicius Junior, he knew it that he was in an offside position. Haiti and Morocco is still 2-2. But next up at 4 a.m., that's 1.5 hours from now, South Africa will take on Korea, while Czech Republic will take on Mexico. Oh, yeah, it's that time of the night. Tottenham hold talks over move for West Ham midfielder Matas Fernandes. Talks ongoing amidst some optimism a deal is possible. Man United have also shown interest in the Portuguese midfielder. That's according to Sami Mokbel of BBC Sport. Okay. We are into the hydration break for the Brazil Scotland game. So not missing much. We're into the commercial break slash hydration break for the Brazil game. But the game between Morocco and Haiti rages on. It's currently at 2-2. Oh, the Robertson is what is being asked. Oh, Uh-oh. Ah, chance goes begging. Moroccans after the hydration break. Have come to push for it again, but Sofian Amrabat decided to cut somebody's ankles out. Oh, 13 minutes left to the 90-minute mark for the game between Morocco and Haiti. Still 2-2. Second half has been a bit muted compared to the first half. Oh, and it's a goal. Morocco 3, Haiti 2. No sooner had I talked about the limited chances in comparison to the comparison to the first half than the Moroccans scored to make it 3-2. Oh, meanwhile, Ashton Ramsesbecker was nearly tested on the other end. And at long last, Neymar comes on, withdrawn, Matas Cunha withdrawn for Neymar Santos Jr. It was it somebody had requested to see Neymar tonight? Ah, good strike deflected by a defender beyond the reach of his own goalkeeper, and Morocco go 3-2 up against Haiti. Can Haiti fight back? And for the first time in this game, they go in front. I need a win for Morocco. Well, they are leading. Looks like your wish may come true, although we still have about 10 minutes left to play in that one. But Neymar is on for Brazil. Let's see what he can offer. Second half, Haiti is not doing anything. Yeah, they've not been as brave as they were in the first half. They've not gone for it. Oh, Danilo must be careful. He's already on a booking. Just took out John McGinn. Should be a second yellow card offense. Referee lets it fly. The scoreline in the Morocco game does not change the standings on match pretty much on the table. What it means is Brazil 7 points, Morocco 7 points. Oh, Vinicius Jr. Oh, tries to squeeze it in at the near post. Vinicius Jr. looking for his first World Cup hat-trick. Only Lionel Messi has a hat-trick at this year's World Cup. Eight minutes to the 90th minute mark for the Haiti-Morocco game. While for Brazil, we still have a whole 10 minutes left to play. Dakika zinayoyoma. That's for the Swahilis. Oh. Neymar scoring in this game would be box office. If Neymar were to score in this game. How did Vinicius Jr. miss from there? He had the goal at his mercy. Beautiful cross. Oh. He was slightly ahead of the ball. Felt like it was always reaching. But that goal from Sofian Rahimi is still the difference between Haiti and Morocco. The Scottish may as well throw on everybody that they can. Enric coming on. Douglas Santos out for Ravan. Alexandro also on. Is it Ravan or Ryan? Uh-oh. Fabinho gets his name in the referee's book. Scotland have a free kick. It's a bit at a distance. Uh-oh. Oh. The Scottish want to ask for a penalty here. One of their own was brought down in the area. Since it's not a head injury, the referee is not obligated to bring stop to a halt. I think it was Kieran Tierney. Massa picked himself up, retreated. John Clooney. Oh. Hendrick got away with that one. Has a beautiful save from the Haiti goalkeeper. Is that David Beckham hugging at Tim Cahill? Oh. Gabriel Magalhaes is trying to attempt a half volley. His teammate Gabriel Martinelli could not help but laugh. And it's a goal. Morocco make it 4. It's 4-2. Haiti already asking for the goal to be investigated. For Scotland, it's a case of there's nothing more to salvage. The goal, Morocco's 4th goal, is still being investigated by VAR. As Brazil here tried to hunt for the 4th of this game. Oh, Vinicius Junior's pass could not find the intended target. How long does it take to confirm a call? The goal stands. The goal stands Morocco 4, Haiti 2. Haiti were claiming that the ball had gone out of play, but a check confirms the goal. 5 minutes of added time in that one, while we are just a minute and a half to the 90th minute mark in this one. Ryan Christie, AFC Bournemouth, is the one that committed the foul. Neymar. Morocco's Yassimi, the 20-year-old, scored to make it 4-2. So Brazil and Morocco, just as is the case with Canada and Switzerland, are the ones advancing from the respective groups. Meanwhile, it's 6 minutes of added time in the Brazil game. We'll be looking to wrap it up at the end of the games. Jay Adams is being introduced for Scotland. Shankland and John McGinn are being withdrawn. I don't think Scotland will complain too much because it's Brazil they are up against. Brazil on the counter-attack. Oh, Vinicius Jr. could not find the through ball for his overlapping teammates. Yassine Bono is organizing the wall as Haiti want to get one back in the last minute of the game. Oh, what a hit. What a hit. Goalkeeper Yassine Bono gets his palm to it. And it's sort of saved. Reluctant Gamer says Morocco done well being 4-2 up after being 2-1 down. Yeah, they've done brilliantly well, especially the second half where you felt Haiti never really turned up like they had done with the sort of brevity that they had expressed in the opening stanza. Oh, what a hit that was. What a goal that would have been if it had hit the back of the net, giving Roberto Carlos power shot vibes. Is a Moroccan player, Sofiane Amrabat, that is being treated as we approach the last 2 minutes of the game for Brazil against Scotland. Gabriel Martinelli out here committing fouls. Corner kick for Scotland. Oh. Very soon, the referee will bring that game between Morocco and Haiti to a stop. Uh-oh. Morocco nearly profited. Brazil, with the final attack of the game, Vinicius Jr. to Neymar to Vinny Jr.'s attempt blocked. And the referee calls the game to an end. Morocco 4, Haiti 2. Vinicius Jr., come on. Why run yourself into traffic after finding the space to squeeze in a shot? Sometimes players are very disappointing. Try to do the hard thing instead of doing the simple thing. He had a chance there. KI says, so number 3 from his group. That's Scotland is number 3 from their group because he did win that game 1-0 against Haiti, while Haiti lost all his 3 games, but are beautiful games of football. It's been a pleasure having you guys for the last 3 hours and 45 minutes that we've done. That is a record live stream on the history of this channel. We've never gone beyond 2 hours and 25 minutes or 2.5 hours. Today it's nearly 4 hours. So KI, thank you so much. Reluctant Gamer, Gladiator, Epic, handle name, Viola, Cedric, Ferguson, and every single one of you that has been part of tonight's broadcasts. John Snack, Skin Walker Official, every one of you that has made the time to be part of tonight's broadcast. It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Unfortunately, I cannot stick around for the 4 a.m. game. I want to get some little bit of other works done before I call it a night. Scotland, 1 point, though that's what they would have needed, but you never know. They are going to have to hope against hope that maybe somehow, somewhere, they find themselves as one of the best third finishers, although it's not a foregone conclusion. Stay blessed for now. Until next time. Bye-bye. Peace.